Welcome to the Pluribus podcast. We're the Lorehounds. We're guides to many things, but we are not, I repeat, not your guides to the Gary and Dap. No way, nope, no thanks, no how, not happening. I'm David. I'm one of the regular hosts of the Lorehounds.
And I'm Nichole. I'm one of the hosts of Nevermind the Music podcast, an affiliate of the Lorehounds Network. And we've teamed up to cover season 1 of Pluribus on Apple TV. I am not your guide to the Darien Gap. You said Gary and Dap.
Did I say Gary and Dap? Did I stumble on my tongue?
I think it's kind of funnier that way.
Okay. I have podcaster mouth.
This is our podcast covering episode 7, The Gap.
Nichole, did our stratagem work? Because we got tons of feedback this week.
We got, not too much. I'm not going to dissuade the listeners.
Right.
But it was a lot of feedback this week. So I think our strategy worked.
What does that say about humanity?
Well, I think a lot of us are people pleasers and we just want to make others happy, which isn't very much in the nature of Pluribus, right?
That's right. And if you want to make us happy and send in your feedback, you can do so by sending emails and voicemails to pluribus@thelorehounds.com. Our dear third member of this podcast, Nancy, hand of the pod, keeper of the chronicles, is on the other end of the line, and she will help coordinate your feedback and get it into our outline. So Nancy did a lot of work this week, so thank you.
And
Nancy.
She led with kindness the whole time, and I really appreciate that.
Exactly, she really did.
You can email your feedback to pluribus@lorehounds.com or send us some notes on the Discord. We're happy to include almost everything in our recaps here, but if you can send us an email or a voicemail, that'd be awesome. Discord's a really great place for live chatting.
And there's a lot of live chatting happening there.
There's been a lot of live chatting. I don't keep up with it as much as I intend to, but it's nice to know that you're out there.
And the show is just affecting, it's affecting people. And I'm just glad that we have a sort of a very cool and positive and constructive community where people can come and just go whoa, what is going on? Why am I responding this way? But anyway, we are an independent podcast. And if you're interested in supporting us and have the means to do so, we'd really love to have you be a subscriber. Subscribers get all kinds of bonus episodes. They get insider access to some things on the Discord. And you get the warm, happy glow knowing that you are supporting independent podcasters like us. There's links for everything in the show notes, the email address, the links for the Discord, and links for our couple of different subscriber platforms. Nichole, we have a packed episode today, so I think we should just get right into it. We'll cover some hot takes. We've got some feedback covering episode 6 that we're going to cover in here. A couple of smaller meta topics, and then we'll get into our scene-by-scene breakdown. How did you feel about this episode?
I thought it was a beautiful episode, and I think I kept thinking of their location scouts throughout the production of how were they going to set up these shots of especially him through the jungle and him and this montage of him traveling just was really beautiful and rich. I really like seeing Carol's progression, her progressive affect throughout this episode, and we can talk about that as well. Really thankful for all the rich community feedback, and we'll for sure get into all your feedback today. And I was most struck at the scene of her in the convenience store with what the Plurbs left behind. They took everything, they reallocated resources, but they left so many cigarettes and they left so many fireworks, only things that would harm her.
I didn't think about it. That's interesting. Okay, well, we should talk about that later. But yeah, that's a great observation.
They just took the things that would be maladaptive, be bad for her, or they left the things that would be bad for her. And I wonder, it's got to be, they do nothing unintentionally, so I feel like it has to be intentional. And
I read the scene differently, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I would have taken all those cigarettes. I don't know. I feel like in this situation,
Would you start smoking again?
I 1,000,000% would start smoking again.
I might too.
What else are we doing?
No social stigma. Right?
Like, who cares?
Best healthcare in the world, right?
Right.
No waiting lines. Just get right in.
What's the worst thing? I know, like, we shouldn't joke about cancer. No. That's not like a joking thing.
It is a very serious thing.
Very, very serious thing. And at that point, it really is a smoke 'em if you got 'em situation. And she's got 'em, so she should be smoking them.
There's a longevity question, right? Like
who cares?
When is it going to affect you? I mean, it's a terrible thing. I know it's destroyed many families, and it was a horrible social situation. But at the same time, it's like junk food, like the being compelled, like, oh God. Anyway, sorry.
They took the Mountain Dew but left the cigarettes. It's like, what are we doing? Like, you can't get a Gatorade. What are your hot takes on this this episode?
I don't know if we should call them hot takes. Somebody on Spotify gave us a jokey comment that our takes weren't very hot. So maybe these are tepid takes. They're not ice cold takes. They're not hot takes. They're tepid. I'm making fun of it.
What would be like? Are they looking for controversy?
I guess maybe hype. Take? Yeah.
I think the kids say hot takes in a different way than we're saying. Like, hot take, it's something that like other people disagree with, or like other people disagree with, but you're on board with. Like, hot takes, I would smoke all the cigarettes.
Right. And I think hot takes is opposed to as like served fresh, not spicy or upset. Not upsetting is the right word. Challenging. Right. Yeah. It's not like that. Those are not our hot takes. So anyway, this episode, this show, it's like there's everything to say and nothing to say, because I think it's like, is this a perfect episode? Is this a perfect show? And when it's perfect and it's in every aspect, it's hard to take it apart. Sometimes you just want to just leave it be and just admire its beauty and just say nothing and just be with it. That's kind of how I feel about that. I got plenty to say, but I was like really struggling this morning to think about like, last episode I had plenty to say. This one, not so much. I want to give a quick shout to Carlos Manuel Vesca, Samba Chute, and Carolina Wydra. This level of acting. Okay, Ray Seahorn, right? Yeah, fine. She kills it, right, every time. But these three actors who I've never gotten a chance to experience before are just extraordinary. And I just want to just be so grateful to the show for finding and casting these amazing actors, because they all are just bringing so much to everything that they do on screen. So it's so great. We got a ton of feedback, like we said, so I kind of feel like we should just jump right into it. I don't have much more hot take action to go. One quick shout out to a new website. I've only found this recently after podcasting for multiple years now. Tunefind.com has like every song in an episode. I don't know how they're doing it.
That's awesome.
Scraping IMDb or whatever. Of course, they have links to like, you want to listen to this? You can go, in a player of choice or whatever. But it just makes the job so much easier. So tunefind.com. We're not sponsored by them. Sponsor us.
You can sponsor us. And also check out Nevermind the Music, a great podcast for music.
Exactly.
Sponsor us too.
Yeah, sponsor them before you sponsor the Lorehounds. I
think it's all trickles. It's a trickle-down sponsorship.
There you go.
Yeah, this episode has I'll say soundtrack, but a lot of it was just Carol singing. So it wasn't even like the actual songs, but
they still had to secure the rights for those.
Oh, absolutely. They did. It was just such an interesting episode from her perspective, and I can't wait to dive into it. But first, some feedback from episode 6.
Yes.
We have a voicemail from Caroline.
Here we go.
Hi, guys. It's Caroline. I'm an American who came to England to study Greek and Latin, and I stayed on to live in London and write historical novels set in the ancient world. I'm loving Pluribus, which is a brilliant thought experiment. What if people became kind, nonviolent vegans who only wanted to make each other happy? Would we even be human anymore? And I'm loving your podcast because it focuses so intelligently on psychology and sociology. In episode 6, HDP, when I heard John Cena's infomercial, where he says, throughout history, most cultures, though not all, have taken a dim view of anthropophagy, that's cannibalism, I immediately thought of the ancient Greek writer Herodotus. He's often called the father of history, and he wrote this in the 5th century BC. That's over 400 years before the birth of Jesus Christ. This is what he wrote. When Darius was king, he summoned some Greeks and asked them how much he should pay them to eat their parents' dead bodies. They replied there was no price for which they would do it. Then Darius summoned those called Kalatii from India because they do eat their parents. With the Greeks present and understanding through interpreters what was said, he asked them what he could do to make them cremate their fathers at death. They cried out that he should not even speak of so horrid an act. So in other words, to one cultural group, the idea of burning their dead was as abhorrent as the idea of eating the dead was to the Greeks and to us. And of course, Herodotus is pointing out how people from varying cultures can be so different. That's just one of the reasons I love this intelligent and thought-provoking show and your podcast. Keep up the good work.
Wow, what a great voicemail. I'm always so impressed by the Lorehound community and what a breadth of knowledge exists within our membership. You know, we have like experts in the field chiming in. And it's really, really intriguing. And yeah, Caroline, speaking of cultural relativism, that what's wild for us as a culture is normal for another culture. And that's what we're seeing with Carol and the Plurbs, and even Carol and the other Unjoined, is this disconnect between cultural norms and cultural schemas. So I think this was a really informed, obviously a very informed comment, and added a great breadth of history to the conversation.
I hope that we hear from Caroline again in the future. I don't know that we've heard Caroline. I don't know how long Caroline has been a listener, but welcome if you're newer. And I would love to hear some more about what you do. And we have a strong British contingent, even though you're an American living in England. We do have a lot of I think that's our number 2 listening region is the UK. That and Canada are sort of our number 2s and 3s. Wow. That said, what's interesting I'm thinking about too, which we'll talk about later, is the chunga plant, the black palm that Manusos has an unfortunate encounter with.
Oh my gosh.
On the official pod, he talks about, the actor Carlos, where is it in my notes? I don't have it in my head. Carlos Manuel Vesca talks about how that plant is actually a deeply important part of the local community, the cultures of the local communities in that region, and how we see it as this monster, right? The monster in the jungle. In fact, it is an incredibly important source of food and materials and culture. It's really incredible. So we'll talk. I've got some notes about it later on.
Oh, that's cool. I can't wait.
I love how that Caroline's email really points to that. Like you were saying, we're perceiving it in one direction, but if you spin around it to another direction, you have a completely different point of view on it.
And then you even can really get into it, as we're known to do, about the social ethics, what is the right thing to do and who gets to decide what the right thing to do is. Whose culture defines the norm, and spoiler, no one's does. We're all defining our own norms. But that's definitely a bigger conversation. And we have too much to cover. We can't keep deep diving into social ethics today.
I want to highlight something there too, because the show brings up a lot of LGBTQ and specifically lesbian culture in this. There's somebody who made a comment about golf and George O'Keeffe, and I Will Survive is a song that played on the player piano. And it's these are so interesting things. And as a cishet male, white male, is it my space to talk about those cultures, or, how do I navigate those kinds of things? So I'm always thinking about that. How do I represent or report versus represent, right? There's a difference there.
But you also could, all those examples, you could reframe to fit your culture. You're a presenting white male, you could say that golf is representative of white male culture.
Right. Well, it kind of is.
Right. Or I Will Survive is specific of your generational demographic, maybe.
Sure.
Right. You could reframe it all to fit. And George O'Keeffe, because of the region they're in, is representative of the region. So we're
right.
like, we're putting it into bins of LGBTQI representation because that fits the narrative we're trying to craft here. But you could take that same information and shove it into a different narrative that feeds your points too.
Right.
So lots to talk about.
Yeah,
And my coffee just kicked in, if you could tell.
Let's go.
Just dialed in. We have another email from Cincinnati Joe. The Hive has apparently figured out how to convert immune. Does that mean they've already done it? Perhaps they've converted the young woman who wanted to be with her family. Perhaps they have. Yeah,
I think it's interesting. I would certainly think that young woman, and I apologize, I don't remember her name, but I could see it would be logical to assume that she would be one of the first candidates to try stem cell therapy to join. So I don't know if Lakshmi is going to join or not.
It's so interesting when you think about consent. Like this juvenile couldn't give legal consent, so maybe they wouldn't have joined her. Her parents could consent on her behalf, but if her parents are pluribs, they're obviously going to say yes. So are they compromised in that consent? It gets to be tricky. I'm not sure
how much those rules apply.
Are we following APA ethical guidelines here? Like,
I mean, when they chemtrailed the entire world, nobody gave consent.
Nobody gave any consent. No, they definitely. And it was implied that they're doing no harm. But again, who gets to decide what's harmful or not?
Yeah.
So we don't have answers for you, Cincinnati Joe, but thanks for your feedback.
I think it's a good theory and it's a good thought, right? Yeah.
Do you want to take Steve's email?
Sure. Steve says, I listened to this week's excellent pod and David and Nichole's discussion on Diabate. I think he may have been a servant, maybe a royal servant, and possibly his entire life. His knowledge of how to prepare a fine meal, but not knowing how to enjoy it, illustrates it. He knows what luxury is and how to provide it. He's just never been allowed to enjoy it himself. Like you both said, he'll get bored of it eventually, but he's going to enjoy the hell out of it for now.
I loved this feedback when I came in, or when I saw this email. I was like, that's actually pretty spot on. Like, that really tracks for me. And then we're seeing in this episode, like, that's kind of rubbing off on Carol a little bit. She's leaning in because she's like, well, why not? Right? Like, what else am I doing? Maybe I should just take the painting. Maybe I should just play golf with this bison or whatever it was. Like, why not, like, explore how far I can push these plurbs to get me the coldest Gatorade? And I think that this was a really interesting commentary on Diabate's backstory. Like, where is he from? And I do think it does map a lot to his present behavior.
Right. Yeah, and whether he was a quote unquote servant or he could have just worked in the tourism industry, in
hospitality or something.
Yeah, exactly. Where he's providing luxury for other people, but then not necessarily partaking it of himself, being adjacent to it. And certainly in Western media, one of our chief exports from the United States is film and television. And so there's a lot of it on display. And not that we need to display luxury. Luxury has been around and part of the global cultures for as long as there have been humans, right? Yeah. And as long as we decided that I get to have a little bit nicer house than somebody else.
And his idea of luxury is seemingly very superficial and not rooted in self-care, just rooted on like outward appearance, like the suite at the fancy hotel and the fancy cars and the nice clothes and the 007 tropes, right? They're really conventional, right? And I think Carol's luxury is becoming a little bit more unconventional, a little bit more nuanced. What's luxurious to her.
Right. Yeah. And that goes to their different life as lived experiences,
right?
Where they come from in the world and what access do they have to material wealth and to be able to provide for themselves, for those creature comforts.
Awesome. Great comments. We have a voicemail from Stuart.
Here we go.
Let's hear it.
Yep.
Hello, Lorehounds. Again, this is Stuart, aka Lestu. This is the first time I've sent a voicemail in. Hello to Nancy, hand of the pod. And I wanted to say I have a question or a theory about episode 6. Now, I'm sending this in on Monday, and we just watched the episode 6 on Sunday after your podcast came out for that. My thought is that Mr. Not James Bond, I forget his name, is one of the joined. And the proof of that I have is she calls in his penthouse. She picks up the phone and dials it. Why wouldn't they think it was her? Or why would they think it was her? Why wouldn't they think it was him? So my question comes, how do they know? Maybe they're watching CCTV. That makes sense. But we've never seen them use technology like that before. So I don't know. I mean, yes, using the technology of the board. Let me put it this way. If it's not CCTV, or if he's not joined, then it's CCTV, and that's just rude. Anyway, great to talk to you guys, and thank you for the wonderful episode. And Dave and Nichole, I really appreciate you guys diving into Carol and her three-dimensional personhood, and I really appreciate that. Thanks. Bye.
What a great voicemail. It's really cool to hear your voices, guys. Like, we read your comments all the time, and your voice has so much great character, Stuart.
And Lestu's been around for a minute, especially active on the Discord during certain shows. And so it's great to hear from people directly.
I'll say, it's vulnerable to leave a voicemail and have it on the podcast. It is. Yeah. So thank you for doing that. That's awesome. I'm not sure about this theory. I can easily poke holes in it and just say they probably just gave them different numbers to call.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's something. But I do like the Borgness of it all.
Yeah, I love how Borg
I'm into big Next Gen fan. So
right. It's part of our cultural lexicon now.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to get sidetracked about the new Next Generation Lego set. It's like the whole Enterprise and all the minifigures.
Oh, I haven't seen
characters.
That.
It is so cool, but this is not what we're talking about today.
Okay. Yeah, no, let's not get sidetracked.
No.
My comment would be that in the hot tub, he was not aware that he was getting a visitor, right? All of his companions paused and they were like, do, 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 do. The signal is coming in and they were like, oh, we got to go by. And he didn't get that signal. He was like, wait, what's going on? Yeah. Certainly he is in a high degree of communication. Well, do I want to say it that way with the joined?
Yeah.
He's like communicating with them all over the place.
Oh,
in
for
many
sure.
ways.
Well, we don't know that. We're assuming, but he seems like sorry, this is going to be bad. He does seem like their inside man. And totally. I think that he does have like a more co-worker reciprocal relationship to the joined, especially more than Carol does at present moment in this series. So we'll see what happens next.
On this spectrum of different possible responses, he's the one that's embraced it and said, okay, I'm going to accept this reality for what it is, and I'm going to go with it.
Right.
As opposed to Manusos, who's not accepting the reality, and he's leaving money on the windscreens of when he's taking stuff. That is bro, even if you guys reverse the RNA sequence thing, it's never going to go back to the same. No, you're leaving money. It's a different context. You're in a completely different social construct.
But that it really speaks to his moral compass and his own individual moral code.
Yeah.
And I have so much to say about that. The leaving money piece, especially when you parallel it with what he says about them. So I want to put a pin in that for later, but that was so endearing to me.
Right.
We have another Discord comment that I wanted to include from Peter07.
Peter OH.
OH.
Right. And he is a Lore Master subscriber, one of our top tier and long-term subscriber. Well, Peter has been a great cornerstone of our community. So, yeah.
Well, excuse me, Peter OH77. So nice to meet you. Thank you for being
chill.
here.
I'm sure he's all right.
Okay, cool. Peter says it's a little sad for Carol that the other unjoined have rejected her, but part of the reason for that is her own wrongheadedness. She refuses to read a room, and she is quite abrasive. I definitely think there's hope for her, and she deserves that space and grace from the other unjoined. Carol also seems like a stand-in for the USA, while the other unjoined represent the other countries. I mean, you couldn't, yeah.
I'm laughing because it's cutting, right? It cuts right to the quick.
And she's what, when Americans travel,
Right.
This is what we're called as Carols. No, I'm just kidding. Carol is harming people and being a disruptive force, but not fully understanding how she's doing that and subsequently being confused as to why the others don't like her. And that's the end of Peter's comments. But I'll add, she is harming other people and being a disruptive force, but I don't think I don't think it's intentional. I don't think her intention is to harm. I do think she just can't, like you say, can't read the room. Mm-hmm. And I think that maybe I'm going to stop myself. I was going to say, I don't think maybe she never could do that, but she could aptly when she was on the book tour. She read the room quite well. So something's changing within Carol. And I think in this episode, we really see a progression of her mental state and a breaking happening in a real way. So maybe this not reading the room and being harmful and being abrasive was always in her, but the cracks are showing in her affect and her facade through this ridiculous emotionally charged experience she's living through. So I loved your comment, and I think it does add value to Carol as a three-dimensional person. When does she become self-aware of how much she's hurting other people? And I think we see it in this episode for sure.
And I really want to highlight Lestew's comment there about the three-dimensionality of Carol. And a lot of people are very affected by Carol, the portrayal of Carol in this fictional story, but people are feeling it in their lives. And either, I identify or I don't identify, but that contrast of not identifying is as affecting as for people who are identifying with her.
Yeah.
And that just goes to the writing and the performance and the way that the show is being shot. And that this idea that Carol, she can be self-reflective. And we've highlighted this a couple of times. Yeah. She said, is there something you can give me to stop me from doing that?
Right.
Right. She looks at a drink and says, no, I'm not going to have a drink right now. And then she's challenged and stressed out, and she grabs the drink up and and knocks it back.
She has a really hard time regulating her emotions.
Yeah. And
taking the beat.
Yeah, exactly. And there's been chatter about the fact that she doesn't have her own mobile phone in episode 1. Helen has it. Why? And some of the theories are impulse control. If she dove in onto the Reddit thread for her books or whatever, she wouldn't necessarily have a healthy reaction to what she was reading.
I mean, even when she got access to all the world's knowledge by interviewing the blurb in the
his name now.
bike outfit. So good.
This show has traveled so far. It's oh my God, that was only a couple episodes ago, but it feels like a lifetime.
The blurb in the bike outfit. That's right. What I got. She does in fact check him on basic knowledge about world affairs. Right. She talks about herself, right? She's eager for that validation. So there's a lot going on in the psychological cluster and the psychological profile of Carol. And we get much more insight towards that in this episode, I think, when we start to see she's breaking. It looks superficial at first, but then we do see a real progression as time marches forward for her and this character. So
we can talk more about Carol on the other side of the break. And there's a really great comment about the cop car from Jean, one of our co-hosts on the Lorehounds. But let's take a quick break. And then when we come back, I kind of wanted to talk about microaggressions and what is aggressive and passive aggressive types of behaviors.
Sure.
And then I also wanted to explore a little bit about the title of the show, The Gap, and what are some maybe embedded meanings in that title, because there's a whole bunch of stuff in there.
That's awesome.
We'll get to our scene by scene after that. But we'll be right back.
Let's do it.
And we're back. So there was a lot of chatter in the Discord this week about Carol and some messages and stuff. And then we also got a very polite email that did bring up the topic of microaggressions and relative to our pronunciation of Diabate's name. And I wanted to say something quickly about that. And I appreciate the listener's email that names are one of the biggest places in the podcast realm where friction is generated between listeners and podcast hosts. And there's a bunch of stuff that goes on in that space. One of it is just general pronunciation and knowing how to pronounce somebody's name and how you handle that if you don't know it. Then there are the literally mental trip ups. Something, a neuron gets stuck in a particular position in your brain and you can't get past it. Right? That's just normal life, right?
And I'm not going to nitpick the neuroscience of that statement, but that's like not what's happening. But go on.
Well, anyway, I'm simplifying it.
That's fine.
Grossly simplifying it. But that's what it feels like, is right. It's just like something gets stuck in a way, and you can't get off of it, and you can't switch it. And then when you do say something mispronouncing it wrong, or when you mispronounce it wrong, can I speak English? Then it sometimes becomes a little joke, and then it sort of becomes a bit and a gag. And then there are other podcasters who just take it and just go, well, fuck it, I'm just going to say it this way because that's the way I'm going to say it. And so there's different internal responses to it. And I remember when John and I started the Lorehounds, we were covering the history before Lord of the Rings and history sort of out of the Silmarillion. And I mispronounced Galadriel wrong. And man, they came for me. They came for me hard with pitchforks and torches. And we got so many emails about it. And it's like, I get it. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. So there is this interesting place where if you mispronounce stuff on a regular basis, people write in and they get a bee in their bonnet about it.
Yeah, I get it. It's like when you listen to you read a book and then you listen to the audiobook and you're like, oh, I've been saying that character's name wrong the whole time. Right. And for me and Diabate, it is the reading it versus saying it piece.
Right.
I really appreciated this feedback we got about how names are important, and it does matter.
Yeah, right.
We talk about that in the classroom all the time, like how important it is to say students' names out loud and address them by their given name and not the name that their preferred name. And I do honor that. And I was really appreciative of that feedback to kind of, for us to be a little bit more dialed in. And
we try to be dialed in on the Lorehounds. That's our general vibe.
Yeah. So. And it's awesome. And thank you. Thanks for forefronting that, because we were just yapping. And
right. And then sometimes you just go.
Yeah. Right? And it does matter. It does matter. So it wasn't meant as, the thing about microaggressions is they're not meant to be aggressive. It's just something that it happens because of your internal biases that you might not have owned yet. Right. So we're going to get into this microaggression piece now. Right. And
yes. And I have an example voicemail, but go ahead, set it up.
So, as humans, we all have biases, and some are implicit and some are explicit. And implicit biases are ones that you don't really know that you have, like assuming that doctors are male or assuming that teachers are female. You might not have that in the forefront of your brain, but it still kind of exists inside of you. That's one example.
Did you ever read the Richard Scarry books to your kids?
No.
The little animals and all of the massive scenes. Man, we read the old ones. There's a new reissue of them, but it was
they had to change a bunch of stuff, right?
Oh boy, the encoding in there. And as a dad to a young woman who identifies as a woman, we were like, geez, the encoding and the cultural encoding of norms of who the beautiful stewardess and the brave pilot.
And it's not even just children's books. I mean, we see that in textbooks quite a bit. That
Right.
like imagery in textbooks and case study examples in textbooks. The cultural encoding becomes a really big piece there, so much that we know that standardized testing has implicit and explicit biases against certain demographics because
Right.
of the encoding that happens in the source text. So it's a deep issue to root out. And, you know, the explicit biases are easier to root out because they're explicit. Like you
Stated, right. Yeah,
they're
I say this, I believe this. Yeah.
Or I believe that certain population, certain demographics are good or bad for certain reasons, right? And you're obtuse with that. It's these implicit biases that lead to microaggressions. You know, when we say to a student of color, "Oh, your writing is so eloquent and so polished." Like, would I say the same thing
Right.
to like a European white student? I probably would because I'm a bucket filler in the classroom, but we have to be.
Is that a thing? A bucket filler?
A
That's
bucket
interesting.
filler? Yeah. Like
Yeah,
either
I've
you're,
never heard that.
oh my gosh, either you're like a bucket filler or a bucket dipper. Like a bucket filler like
Interesting.
builds people up and a bucket dipper takes away.
Wow.
So when we talk
Typographies are categorizations of instructional style.
Right. So, I mean, or just we talk about like social emotional learning for kids, like that's language that they use. So, you know, these microaggressions, you might be trying to be a bucket filler, but really you're a bucket dipper and you don't even know it because of your own implicit biases.
Right.
So as a woman, we get microaggressed on all the time. I'm not a person of color. If I was a woman of color, we start to talk about intersectionality and how it's a whole different pile of adversity to overcome because you're not just a woman, you're a person of color, and that those two combined identities in the Venn diagram of those identities sit a whole unique set of challenges that are unique to womanhood or blackhood, black personhood. That's probably not the right thing to say. I don't mean that as a microaggression. I just don't know. I just don't know.
Right.
So that's my primer on biases and microaggression.
Quick shout out to the National Public Radio NPR podcast Fresh Air, or radio show, now podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Ray Seahorn was on it, and I caught a little bit of her interview this morning. And one of the questions that she gets asked is about anger, you know, because there's this question of happiness versus anger, and Carol is a person who has anger and managing her anger. And Ray Seahorn talks a whole bunch about being a woman, being an actor, and how she responds to anger and aggression towards other people or versus aggression towards her and her responses. So shout out for that interview. It was really, what I heard of it was really insightful and interesting.
Yeah, and I do often when I watch this show, and more when I read content about it or hear people's responses to Carol, I do often think, like, would you have said the same thing if this was a male character or a non-binary character? Would you have had the same need for her to be as performative about happiness, right?
I think, maybe it's Cincinnati Joe. It comes up later. There's another piece of feedback about that very question about, and it's a Star Trek Next Generation question.
Oh my
as well,
gosh. I feel like
comparing Carol to Captain Picard.
I feel like I've really found my people here. Speaking of my people, we have a voicemail from my co-host, Mark. Can we listen to it?
We can. Can I preface it slightly?
Yeah, sorry. I'm just moving along, David.
No, it's perfect. And no, it was a perfect segue, a very professional segue. And I want to joke. We're having a back and forth joking session with Mark about a bunch of stuff. And so I want folks to make sure that they understand that this, you know, the tongue in the cheek, but this is a perfect joking example of passive aggressive and microaggressive. Well, I don't even know if it's microaggressive behavior. It's just aggressive behavior, maybe.
Classic.
Anyway, here's his voicemail.
Hey, Lorehounds, this is Mark calling in with a voicemail. Hi, Nichole. Fancy seeing you on the opposite side of the microphone. Are you enjoying your new co-host? How is his knowledge of music theory? How's his knowledge of music history? Does he have a bachelor's degree in political science that he never uses also? Oh, hi, David. Thanks for stealing my co-host. Anyways, in all seriousness, sort of, here is my feedback via voicemail for episode 6. This is recorded after listening to your podcast before seeing the newer episode that's coming out at the end of the week. First of all, David, you talked about you shouldn't eat predators because they're too far up the food chain. First of all, you do probably eat fish, and some of them are predators and carnivores. So while I think predator meat is not necessarily good always, it's not necessarily a rule that we can translate. Maybe terrestrial predators aren't as yummy. In any case, you mentioned you should eat bear organs instead of bear meat if you had to. Don't eat polar bear liver. It is actually toxic to humans. It has a high concentration of vitamin A. I'm sure folks on the Discord are already saying this.
Like, how does he know
Second,
this? What are you
Nichole,
doing
I knew you weren't really vibing with episode 6. The whole reveal falling flat. You thought it should be more exciting. The reveal in that episode is not that it's humans they're eating. The reveal is that Diabate and the other sort of individuals already know. That's the shocking reveal. It's that it's no big deal.
Thanks,
I think
Mark.
the creators
Thanks, Mark,
expected us to see the cannibalism coming, but not see everybody's indifference to cannibalism coming. Aside from feedback on your takes, I just wanted to add a couple quick things here. I think the other 11, I think it's 11, I don't think it's 12. I think the other 11 are bonkers and hypocritical. Yes, Carol is not very friendly. Yes, she is very my way or the highway. But she very obviously comes by her opinions honestly, and I think it's pretty understandable to think in this situation that somebody would want to make things go back to normal. Like, I can see that they maybe have family that are a part of the Plurbs. They maybe have information she doesn't, but still, they should be able to empathize with her point of view. She's coming from a sort of, I would think, a default notion. The 11 of them, by being happy with the fact that the Earth has been taken over by another intelligence, they're hypocrites if they can't see that at least her position, if not her attitude, should be understandable. It doesn't, even since that, I think the second episode when we saw them, it's never really sat right with me that they could think she was outrageous. Maybe she's acting outrageous and acting holier than thou. It is very much the pot calling the kettle black for them to look at her and just affix on her this label of being unreasonable, because she has a reasonable worldview. She's just not dealing with it well. How's this for a crazy analogy? Let's say we were all lost in the woods and it was in the winter and we stumbled upon a fast food restaurant. And I was like, hey, we should go eat that fast food restaurant. And you two see a pile of yellow snow. You say, no, we should eat the yellow snow. And I start being a real dick about it. And I'm not listening to you at all. I don't want the yellow snow. We have to eat at the restaurant. Now, you two maybe know that inside that restaurant is a bunch of poison or a serial killer or something. And you also know that the yellow snow is just super-powered lemon juice or something like that. And it's totally safe. But my position is still the one that, on the face of it, is reasonable. Maybe I'm being a big dick about it, but you can't look at me and say I'm crazy, right? It does very much seem like they're grouping themselves together as the good guys, so to speak. Well, they need to show a little more empathy for Carol's position, right? Jerk or not. You know, think back to Conclave or something like that. I think there's a line in that movie about the certainty being kind of the enemy in a lot of ways and not allowing for flexible worldviews. I think also Diabate is pretty hypocritical also. He's talking about trying to save the population of the world, yet he's consuming innumerable resources for his sex fantasies, essentially. David was speaking about him kind of, it sounded like you were implying that he was empathetic and that he cared about other people. I can't square that with him saying, oh, we want to keep them alive longer, when every day he has these Casino Royale fantasies is probably a day that billions of people aren't going to survive because of the resources he's consuming. And also, on that note, I like that he has John Cena there teaching him wrestling moves and stuff like that. But let's be real. The super beautiful women and actors playing in these fantasies of his and stuff like that, they would not just be random beautiful women and actors. They would be famous. Whichever A-list starlet he was in love with when he was 20 years old would be the person at that table. Whichever Bond villain, the actual actor who played that guy in the movie would be there, right? Or at the very least, the girl that he had a crush on in 8th grade that said no to him would probably be at that table. I don't know. I don't want to criticize the man for his nameless and faceless fantasies, but it feels like there would be a little more reality in them, so to speak. Not a criticism at all of the show. I feel like if they had endless budget, it would be that way.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, you asked for a voicemail, so feel free to publicly regret it in the ears of thousands of people.
So much to unpack there.
There's a lot. Like, I wish I was taking notes. Can I just dive in?
Yes, please.
Okay. Listeners, for context, Mark and I have we've known each other for many, many, many years prior to hosting the podcast. We have a very strong friendship, and we have the ability to challenge each other in a way that's healthy and respectful. I respect Mark and his opinions a lot. And this is what I'm going to say. If and now that I prefaced it, the mansplaining is off the charts here, right? So when we talk about...
Well, this is why it was a perfect example of
microaggressions.
And I think even borderline aggression. Right?
Well, that's our bit, right?
Yeah.
And I think that there's so much. It's the fact that, just like we're saying, Carol can be both things. She can be like nuanced and sensitive and vulnerable and very abrasive. I think Diabati can also be empathetic and kind and really caring and be exploiting the situation. I'm really stumbling on like faceless sexual fantasies. Like, I don't think that that's his motivation. I think that sexual motivation only goes so far, right? I think that there's more to him than that. And I think that it minimizes him as a character to say that's all he's after. Mm-hmm. I do agree with the point that it would be famous people, like the famous individuals, but they probably just don't have the budget. For,
yeah.
I don't know, Mark, probably like Phoebe Cates or something. Like, I don't know. Is that a person?
I don't know.
All right. Okay. Well, they'll let us know.
Yes, they will.
So I don't know, a lot to think about from Mark. What are some thoughts that you have on that voicemail?
Well, first of all, fish are different from terrestrial mammals.
You're stuck on that. I forgot about that part. That was the exposition of the whole thing.
And it's a good thing that polar bear livers aren't generally available for good reason.
I'm also wondering how Mark has that information.
Strange factoid information, right? And I just loved the opening, like, oh, hi, David. That whole sort of, and it really got me into the thinking about Carol in this episode, and we can talk about it more later, but when she's in the gas station and she's just like, do better. And, she doesn't even say a location. She's just like, turn on pump number 1. Like, how do you know, like, where are you? How do you know? Obviously. Oh, and this is something I wanted to say before about Lestew's tinfoil hat theory. Sorry, tinfoil. They're definitely using drones. They like wave at the sky,
sure.
all that kind of stuff. So they're monitoring. It's interesting how they're doing it, but very passive aggressively. Like, we're monitoring you, but we're not telling you how or why. And if you need something, do this.
Yeah.
The idea, though, of how Carol is she being passive aggressive, and what is passive aggressivity, and how you manipulate people through this type of behavior. And I think that's one of the reasons why the show is so affecting, is because it's putting all of that kind of behavior front and center to us in a very compelling format. In a very compelling visually and the way that the show is written and is presenting these topics to us. And I think it's really interesting to see Carol as this 3-dimensional figure, and all of the characters as 3-dimensional people, and not simple cutout constructs that we often have in dramatic representations in television and movie shows.
I think in the scene with the Gatorade and throughout the first half of this episode, when we see Carol kind of leaning in, I'm not sure if she's being passive aggressive or aggressive. I interpret it as she's trying on what Diabati's doing. Right. She's trying to see, like, okay, like he seems happy, or at least content. I'm in this world. Like, let's see
where I can go with it.
What I can do. Like, maybe it's not so bad. But we do see the progression that, she's trying it on, but it's still not, something's not right about it for her.
Right.
So when she's calling them, asking for the Gatorade and demanding that it's ice cold and not tepid, much like our hot takes.
Same thing there.
I read that as just trying to see how far she can push them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like a weird way to test it over Gatorade. Like Diabate's testing in bigger ways. And she's like, let's just see if I can command a Gatorade, which I can understand. And
Jean, one of our co-hosts for the Lorehounds, made this comment on the Discord, which I thought was really insightful. When Carol gives up the cop car, that is that is one of the signals of her starting to shift. She's no longer the sheriff in town going to fix this. I'm actually going to allow myself a pleasure of driving a more expensive car. Maybe I will sit in first class if I fly again, right? All of these little things, not only indicators of her shift psychologically, ultimately needing society again, like needing to be in community with other human beings.
Almost like a commitment to that, and I think that the just married balloons on the car she chooses are a metaphor for her like commitment to this new lifestyle or this like approach to being.
Right, exactly.
That might be a stretch, but in the Vince Gilligan universe, I think it's all
I'm totally decoding that as well, right? That kind of stuff. This is her shifting, going to get the George O'Keeffe painting. All of these kinds of things are these markers of moving on. We have to definitely address the just married thing later, but we'll save that for that scene.
We're saving so much for later. Okay, let's get to it.
Yeah. The last thing I want to touch on before we take another break and then get into the scene by scene is the episode title, The Gap. Obviously, there's the superficial reading, superficial being on surface level, not shallow, of the Darien Gap where Manusos is crossing. But this idea of social and psychological gaps, not only the gap between Carol and Manusos in terms of she gets to this point of empty, where it's all of these superficial pursuits, again superficial, these pursuing these pleasures. I'm going to have this painting, I'm going to go to this spa, I'm going to eat this meal. She ultimately comes up empty out of that, where Manusos is full. He has purpose, he has drive, he has a goal-directed behavior, and he's full in a way. And they talk about this on the official pod about their differences. And so to me, that's a gap, gap between these two characters. There's the gap of sociology and the psychology of being an individual within communities. That's a huge behavioral driver for us as humans is, we can sit here and we can be in each other's company, but ultimately I'm still just alone in my head.
Right.
And the gap between you and me, be it virtual as it is in this very moment between us right now recording, and to all of our listeners, there's a gap. But then that is the thing that we crave the most. And we see that at the end, that closing of that gap of us needing people.
Right. On both.
I'm so
on both
affected
accounts.
by that, that hug at the end. It was so potent and so powerful.
And even Manusos just raising his hand to the sky, and maybe he was shielding his eye from the light, like maybe he was finally surrendering.
Right.
I read it as a surrender. I mean, he was kind of at a point that he had to. So it's really fascinating, these metaphors that exist in this show. The episode title of The Gap, I'll have to say, is I feel like a very intelligent person. Humbly. But I never really knew about the Darien Gap until I researched it for this. I never understood what that was. And then we were watching the show, me and my husband, and he's like, what is the Darien Gap? And I was like, well, didn't you know? How do you not know?
That's awesome. Check you out. Podcast here.
He's like, wow, that's really interesting. You know a lot of stuff about geography. I was like, yeah, I know. That's kind of passive aggressive.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you made a good choice. Thanks. For choosing me.
Yeah, choose me. Good luck now if you're ever on Jeopardy and have a question about the Darien Gap. You'll know it's impassable. But okay, we have to keep marching forward.
Forging forward.
Forging forward.
Let's take a little break and then we will run through the scene by scene.
Nice.
And we are back. You ready for the scene by scene? I'm going to take it from here.
I'm ready. We're following episode 7, The Gap. Runtime is 46 minutes. Directed by Adam Bernstein and written by Jen Carroll. Fun fact, Vince Gilligan likes who he likes. He loves his crew. Adam Bernstein has directed episodes of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. And Jen Carroll has worked on the same shows plus El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. Jen Carroll apparently also started out as Vince Gilligan's assistant. And this is her first credited script.
Isn't that cool? I love the fact that they are bringing people, they're new actors, crew. Yeah, they have their crew, but then that they are thinking about, oh, you're pretty good at this. Do you want to try? Okay, let's go. Here, let's move you along. And that she went from, I don't know if she was a personal assistant or if she was a programmer, I don't know what, but starting from not a script writer to being a first, it's amazing. So
yeah, I think that in productions like this, trust is hugely important. Mm-hmm. And keeping a close circle is hugely important. So having people that you work with that, one, you can just trust with knowing this content and eliminating like spoilers or things breaking out. But also, it must feel so good for Vince Gilligan to like see Jen Carroll's script be launched, and it's beautiful. And for this to be her first credited script, there's hardly any dialogue. It's a novel, so the writing is just, I would love to read the script and see how alliterative she gets in describing these spaces. And I just am really interested in the process of writing a script like this that isn't dialogue heavy.
Right. Yeah. Right.
To say the least.
And then you think about what the actors are doing and what the camera is doing. It's incredible.
Right.
It's an incredible production. All right. Well,
okay. Well, scene 1, Carol is on her way back from Las Vegas and stops at a gas station. From inside the store, she calls the join, demanding power to be restored to pump 1. She again calls and orders an ice cold Gatorade, which arrives via drone. She calls back to complain it wasn't cold and proceeds to fill her trunk with fireworks. Not just her trunk, her whole car with fireworks. Carol returns to the road singing REM's It's the End of the World as We Know It. We've talked a lot about this scene, unpacked it as far as like microaggressions go and how far we can push Carol's demands. It was really nice for me to see her trying to embrace the situation.
Yeah.
And Ray Seahorn, we say all the time, her acting is unbelievable, but you can tell that she's not okay embracing the situation. She's really like forcing herself. And it was just so apparent in her acting that she was pretending. She's like, let me pretend to like scratch a scratch ticket and like see if I can demand a new Gatorade. Like, I don't think those things are really important to the character. I just think she was trying to play the part of someone who those things were important to, if that's making sense.
I won $10,000.
Right. Yay.
Yay me.
Yay me. I've said previously, I thought it was really interesting that in the convenience store, not everything was taken. Like they left some things, and that seems very purposeful to me that they left things behind when Sprouts was completely emptied, right? Why would they have left cigarettes and scratch tickets and fireworks? Like, I don't know.
And I read that entirely different, as in those things aren't life-sustaining things. They took things that, because they can't grow food or harvest food from animals, process food from animals, they need every calorie available that is not, that's just lying. It's like windfall, right? That's just windfall. So they took it, and cigarettes are harmful and fireworks aren't useful for their entertainment. They're not life providing.
No, but you could repurpose them. Like you could repurpose tobacco to, I don't know, for something. You could repurpose all the filters for something.
That's a lot of cigarettes in that store, by the way. So that was like a wall. That was the old days of cigarette smoking.
Oh my gosh. Cigarettes.
That was a huge amount.
Like $20 a pack. Get out of here. Where I live anyway. So Yeah, I was curious of what they left behind, and it seemed like they're trying to kill her. It did.
Just be done with it.
Right? And be like, we can't kill her, but she can kill herself. I know that is kind of an activating statement, but we'll see what happens this episode. Like, there's ideation.
Right.
Her singing was great throughout this whole episode. What else do we have about the scene? Do you have any other thoughts?
Quick note about locations and location shooting. The official pod, they talk a whole bunch about how they shot parts of this in Spain and how they shot parts of this. And I'm forgetting the name of the state. I can't remember. I think it was New Mexico, but it might be somewhere in the Southwest where they were, and this Native American Pueblo. And they talk about the process of permissions of shooting and doing all this stuff. So if you want more information about that, I don't want to be a official pod regurgitator, but there's a ton of information about all of that stuff, because some of this, when we watch the show, we don't always know where we are geographically, and they shot in blocks. So when they were in Spain, they shot out of order in blocks and stuff like that. Every time I see a drone, I get a little bit of that comic energy from the garbage drone. I love it.
It's just so ridiculous. It's just like a ridiculous thing. Like, where did it come from? Like,
right. How long did it take to get there? Right. Where was the nearest coldest Gatorade? It's crazy.
It's crazy. You're in the middle of the desert. It's wild. And that's the bit, right? Like, that's why it's funny. Yeah.
It's same with a lot of people are like, why doesn't she tell him to cut the voicemail short? I don't disagree. And I love seeing Ray Seahorn figure out how to spend her time while waiting for the voicemail message to continue playing. It is a hilarious running gag.
Is it getting old for you? The voicemail?
No, because I know I'm waiting for the other side. I'm waiting for Carol to see what's going on, what she does, how she reacts to it.
I see. Yeah.
Going into the speakerphone mode, right? Like, turning it into the hands-free thing, the scratch ticket thing. Great. Mm-hmm. And then the little $10,000, yay. And then, what do you do? Well, okay, what does it matter? $10,000. You won. You won a it's such great commentary, and it's such great comedy.
Right.
And so just seeing her constantly dealing with that, I love it. And that's one of the reasons why this is one of my favorite shows of the year, like hands down. A little shout out to the song Tarzan Boy. Maybe I'll slip in a little note in post. That was what was playing in the music in the background. So
nice.
You'll hear it when you know it. And then I found it really interesting that when she was singing "It's the End of the World as We Know It," and I feel, and they cut off the word "fine." They cut the scene early before she finished the line. And I thought that was really interesting as just a way to highlight her internal state and to leave us like, oh, how is she feeling? What is going on here, right? It's a little breadcrumb.
She's trying really hard to feel fine. She's
100%.
really, and you can see the mask is on pretty tight right now, but we do see it come off later in this episode. Some feedback agreeing with you from Wandering Not Lost via Discord. I think I know why Carol just listened to the long voicemails. Like, what the F else are you going to do? Sorry, I feel weird swearing. I appreciate your discourse. What's the rush? Just do other things while you listen to music. Do the dishes, win some money, light some fireworks. Carol has nothing but time. So you're in good company with your opinion on that.
I want to also flag the construction of this episode, this very dialogue minimal episode. The foreshadowing, the internal episode foreshadowing is incredible in this. That she's looking at fireworks, and then we see her stuffed the car full. And then later that becomes a really, really important thing overall, the little firework and then to the big fireworks. With Manusos, like there's a initial rock stumble, and then there's the fateful rock stumble, right? So they're doing all these little things to prep us for to what's about to come. And that's just masterful storytelling.
Like, it really helps build the tension.
Yeah.
For sure. We're moving on to some Georgia O'Keeffe stuff, which I think is in the next scene, but we have a voicemail to listen to.
Yeah, it's about that. Is it in the other scene?
Yeah, let me read the next scene description, and then we'll listen to the voicemail.
Sounds good. Oh, yeah, it is. You're right. I put it in the wrong place. My bad.
So now scene 2 starts at the 12-day mark and features a number of activities. We get a little montage of Carol living her best life. She sets off fireworks in front of the house. She golfs. She visits a hot spring spa and visits the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum, having like nice little days for herself. In the museum, there's moments that she looks at a painting on a wall and she's like, I could probably just take this, right? And then she turns around and she does take a painting home with her and replaces a poster of that same painting that she has in her house with the original, which I loved. She has the joint prepared several meals for her at a restaurant. It's a restaurant that her and Helen went to celebrate their anniversary. She wears like an awesome dress and she gets all dolled up, and it's like really cool to see this character so glamorous because we haven't yet.
Generally very utilitarian, right?
And like covered in blood sometimes. So,
right.
Each plate of food is a meal that she's eaten before the world changed. Her mood, she gets kind of sad. I feel like she's lonely. It's quiet. She misses Helen, I think. And then she goes to the player piano and puts on I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. Which is fitting. So we have some content about, let's talk about Georgia O'Keeffe. We have, and then we can get into our thoughts on the scene. What do you think?
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good. Here's the voicemail from Banamana.
Okay, this is Banamana, and I need to throw some red string up on my conspiracy board based on the Georgia O'Keeffe painting, Belladonna. The painting is of a poisonous plant, but it also has medicinal aspects related to poison. There's a Shakespeare connection. That's probably the poison that Romeo and Juliet used that killed them. And in the painting, there is one flower revealed and one hidden. All these things must mean something, and I'm still investigating. All right, but I will report back if I learn anything.
Yes, Banamana, we need a full report.
Did they report back?
No,
not yet.
This just came in this morning.
Oh my gosh.
Or was it last
really
night anyway?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, a poisonous plant, but also has some medicinal benefits. And we just discussed briefly the spiky trees.
Yep.
How some people think that they're poisonous and I'll quote like a devil's plant. That's my word. And other people more locally say that they're a blessing and they help the community. They help our survival. So I think there's a metaphor here. We have some other research about the belladonna. It's commonly known as deadly nightshade. Definitely what was represented in Romeo and Juliet. It's one of the most toxic plants in the Eastern Hemisphere. Ingestion can cause delirium, hallucinations, and death. During the Renaissance, women used drops of belladonna extract to dilate their pupils, which was considered attractive and seductive, probably just because they were tripping on it. Right?
We'll finish the
gosh.
note.
So, physiologically dilated pupils simulate the look of sexual arousal or intense emotional openness. That's wild.
Those Renaissance folks were wild.
They were like, yes.
They were getting to it. They were getting busy.
Yeah, it's really fascinating.
I think, Banamana, we need a full report from you. He says that his and his wife's one of their favorite artists, and he's going to maybe do some more research on it.
Oh my
gosh. I think it's interesting. There's 2 flowers there, like he mentions. One's kind of hidden, and yeah, there's a whole bunch there. So
yeah, I can't wait to hear more. So fill us in with what you learned.
Absolutely. Yes. We need to know, like we as the plurbs need your download, however they communicate.
We're going to deputize you, but
yeah. I really wanted to see from the helicopter descending, like some kid in a fast food uniform restaurant. Like it was the nearest person. It's like, oh, who know how to do a helicopter rescue?
The nearest individual that had fatigues on. So we have more from, let's go back to now she's at the restaurant. We wanted to talk about the song choice. And like some nods.
Some other notes. Real quick on the needle drop, I Will Survive. Gloria Gaynor, like you mentioned. Dino Fekaris, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that person's last name right, was the songwriter and was fired from Motown. And so this song was born out of this fact that Dina was like, this sucks, but I'm going to ultimately be okay. And it was a B-side that ultimately was re-released as an A-side because Gloria Gaynor was like, yo, this song, you guys, this is the hook on this thing. It's great. And the record company was like, no, B-side. And then later they're like, holy smokes, A-side. At first I was afraid, I was petrified, thinking I couldn't live without you by my side. So it came out of the disco movement, disco era, right at the cusp of the HIV/AIDS epidemic, and has been really adopted at that time, was really adopted by the LGBTQ community as an anthem for a lot of things, not only for suppression of their identities, as well as a anthem in the face of a terrible pandemic that afflicted millions of people. So I think it's interesting. Like the question is like, oh, what does this say about Carol, and what does this say about what she's facing?
Yeah, I don't think it's we don't have to
go deep in it. It's pretty surface.
It's pretty surface. At first, I was afraid. I was petrified, thinking how I couldn't live without you by my side. But she moved on, and she is learning, how to get along. And she's trying, and she's trying really hard to move on, and you can see the loss and the grief and the struggle with her in the scene. That she's really trying to put her costume on, put her like best self forward, and take herself, get away from the weird takeout and take herself out for a nice meal, but it's loaded in memories and it's loaded in trauma, and it's sad.
And sad. I was really struck both at the spa and at the restaurant how boring it is when there's no other people around.
Right.
Even if there's strangers, even if I'm going there alone, how just kind of empty that experience is, because there's not that buzz and just that social energy that's around us, the way our brain is reacting to the physical presence of other human beings nearby.
Yeah. I think I could last a while being completely alone.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm also finishing my semester, and I've been around people and been performing in front of class. I think of teaching as performing. I've been like being, I pretend to be an extrovert when I'm a teacher, and I'm a huge introvert in real life. So I think that my introverted self could use a day alone in Hot Springs. Mm-hmm. But I don't know about a week, a month. I don't know I like eating alone at restaurants, but I don't think I can. Yeah, to be completely
by yourself
alone.
Or alone. Like, I think that's an interesting distinction, going, that's fine, but then nobody around.
Nobody around. It's creepy. But then you can feel alone. You can feel lonely in a crowded room too. So, and I think Carol might be the type to feel lonely in a crowded room. But I think companionship matters, right?
100%.
It's a lot. I mean, that's the whole premise of the show, right? Like, is togetherness and being alone. And there's a lot of metaphor there. Oh gosh, it's too much. The show's just too much.
It's very affecting, right?
Let's talk about the I'm sorry. Do you have anything else to add about the restaurant scene or the player piano or anything?
I found it hilarious that she put the shotgun in with the golf clubs.
Same.
Like, that was just whacked.
Yeah.
And I was really questioning myself about the balloon. I got all fixated on the balloons. Would those balloons last 12 days?
They absolutely would last. Mylar balloons last so long. They'll last like a year. Yeah, they will.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Especially in like a warm temperature, probably. In a colder temperature, they'd probably deflate, but a warmer temperature, they'd last long.
I got in trouble during the Last of Us coverage where there were some cassette tapes. I'm like, no way would those last. And people were like, they came for me because I was, just like the bear livers.
Maybe I'm wrong, and I'm just like assuming that I'm right and mansplaining to you about balloons. Like, I don't know.
Fair enough.
Not a balloon. If we have any balloon experts, write in. Like, we don't know.
The other thing that I really was struck by was when she turned and saw the Belladonna painting. I read that, I decoded that as she was on a mission to get that painting. And then when she saw it, she was like, there you are, my old friend. You're now mine.
Oh, I didn't think of it that way. I thought she was just at the museum just to have a nice day for herself. And then
maybe
when
she didn't know she wanted that initially, but then when she saw it, it clicked because she did have that as a poster on her wall.
Right.
So she replaces the Belladonna poster with a, like a poster that you buy in the gift shop of, the museum, and here's this painting. But she locked in on it. I was like, whoa, the acting was just phenomenal.
The acting was great. I thought she saw the first painting when she had the instinct that I could just take this. I can just have that. And then she thinks maybe not this one. And then she turns and sees her painting. And then she has that, there you are smile.
She locked in, right? She was like, mine.
I would do it. I would do it. It feels so bad. I'd be touching because you're not supposed to at museums. You're not supposed to touch them and take the tape for sure.
Exactly.
I can't believe that she took it off the wall so easily. Those things are usually really fastened.
Sure.
And I can say that as an expert. I have a studio art degree. I worked in galleries for a long time.
And you know about Mylar balloons.
And I did work in a flower shop where we had lots of Mylar balloons. So
you're the expert. Perfect podcasting.
I am an expert on a lot of things, guys.
Darien Gap included.
Yeah. I mean, now newly intercontinental geography. Other things that happened in the scene, she just go home and she lights off some fireworks, very playful, starts howling at the wolves. We have some Discord feedback from Gnarls. It says when Carol was howling at the wolves, her howls kind of morphed into a human scream. Before that, the wolves were kind of in dialogue with her, which is she's wild and she's a wolf too. But then when it became a human scream, the wolves stopped responding. They're like, oh.
They're like, no.
Maybe she crazy.
Exactly. They totally ghosted.
Yeah. No thanks.
We got some more, we got some carrion to eat down the road. We got to go by.
Oh, gosh. So that brings us out of this Carol scene, and we're going to see what our buddy Manusos is doing. And
one thing to add really quick on the howl is first she was afraid, and then she wasn't.
Yeah.
And then she embraced it, and then she went really far. So it was just the I Will Survive song, I think, plays doubly here.
Well, I was going to say, you really blew it. First, she was afraid. She was petrified.
Petrified. So it's just and whether these things are intentional or not from the script writers in the writer's room to ultimate production, that's when a show is art. Elevating to art when these things just start spontaneously connecting with each other.
Right.
So love it. All right. Well, let's take another quick break. And then when we come back, we will pick up with scene by scene. And we're back, and we're going to join Manusos on his journey.
Thank gosh. I'm obsessed with him. Scene 3, Manuso is out of gas and walking along a road carrying an empty gas can. A person stops and tries to get him to hydrate or at least take a rest at an upcoming viewpoint. Manuso refuses any help and is told to wave at the sky if he needs anything. When the road literally ends, a group of people appear to warn Manuso about the dangers of the Darien Gap. They beg him not to go further, saying they can get him in his car to Carol Sturka in New Mexico. Manuso responds that nothing they could give him is theirs to give, and he sets the car on fire. Manusos makes his way through the gap. He impales himself on a chunga palm and later uses the burning knife to cauterize the wounds on his back. He becomes weaker and weaker and finally collapses. A helicopter appears overhead and a rescuer begins to descend. Now, that is a very brief summary of a very long, very beautiful montage of his travel. It went on a little bit too long for me.
Really? Okay.
A little bit, but I need, this show is teaching me to slow down because I want it to just keep going. I want, we know what you're doing. You don't need to keep showing us the line on the map. We get it. You're traveling. Next.
I love that the line on the map was the same as the grease pencil that he was holding in his hand.
For sure. There was a lot of great production details there.
Yeah.
And just it was just this whole montage was just visually beautiful. and I know that we're supporting local economies, and I know that where the money for the show is going for good, that's what I'm choosing. But I also know that as the amount of money it costs to shoot this montage is more money than I'll probably make in my life. And that was kind of hard. I had a lot to mediate internally with this episode, specifically with how just beautiful the locations were and how hard it must have been to shoot in such remote locations. I had to really surrender a lot of that to enjoy it, but I did enjoy it very, very much. So during this montage, he's practicing English the whole time. Which is really endearing. He's getting quite good. I
got Princess Bride vibes towards the end there.
I know. It was like his mantra.
Yeah.
Right? Just to survive. Great soundtrack happening in the background.
That's
Esperanza.
By Hermanos Gutierrez. I don't know this artist, but apparently the name of the song is Esperanza, and Esperanza means hope.
Oh, buddy. I love him so much. He's like leaving money for the gas he takes. It's so endearing and so counter to what he says to this group of plurbs when they try to convince him to not go on. That like they're like, we can help you. We can get you there. And he says, nothing on this planet is yours. You can't give me anything because all that you have is stolen. You don't belong here. And then he like such a badass. He uses like gas to set his car on fire. And I think he does. There was a question before, like, does he know what's up with them? Like, does he think that they have a virus? Does he know that they're aliens? And this line to me says like he does know that you don't belong here. Mm-hmm. Right? That was really telling to me. And the fact that he doesn't want to take anything that isn't his. He has a really strong moral compass, and he doesn't want to owe anyone anything.
Right.
And I can appreciate that. I just really like that. I think it's really, really, really endearing.
I think
so different.
That's an interesting comment because I think, he's a guy who's wanting to be self-sufficient. He repairs things, all of this. And yet if assuming that whether he owns or manages the self-storage locker, right, he's providing a service to other people. So it's this tension that this whole show is constantly living in is the tension between us as an individual and the collective, the rest of society. And that Carol can't live alone. She needs garbage pickup. She needs food in the store, even just at sort of, Maslow's hierarchy, right? Just basic things on up, that this tension of the individual and society and the relative need that we have and to be ourselves, but yet we depend on other people.
Sorry to talk over you. And the juxtaposition of her requesting an ice cold Gatorade and being kind of being disappointed that it wasn't cold enough, to him like collecting rainwater from tin cans.
Such a good point.
Right? Like when you talk about like needs versus wants, and it's just an interesting juxtaposition that I continue to be very eager and impatient to get these two characters together.
There's a lot of chatter about what's going to happen when they get together now that we see Carol embracing the plurbs and Manusos still rejecting them. Like,
does she still? Oh, but we don't know. I mean, we're 40, we jumped ahead 40 days, and that maybe we'll see in the next episode what happens to him after they rescue him.
He's going to need a long recovery.
He is. And if he is as religious as we're indicating, and we're getting kind of like we're being pointed in the direction that he's a very religious person, right? He's sleeping in churches. He has the religious iconography throughout.
Right.
Maybe he'll turn to see them as his savior, and maybe he'll be the first one to flip and join them.
Did you solve the show?
Did I do it? Did I do it?
Did you win Pluribus?
Did I win it? I don't know. That's what do we call it here? That's a tinfoil hat theory. But I can see the imagery of him, reaching up towards the light of the helicopter. I mean, there's a metaphor there. I don't know. So maybe they're both having a kind of coming of age at the same time.
Right.
I don't know.
A couple of things that are really great in the official pod. They talk about the driver who comes up on the truck alongside of him. Apparently, he's a stunt driver, and that's just who that dude is.
Oh.
What we see on screen is that dude. That's
cool.
how he is in his daily life. And it's so perfect. And he's like, there's a great viewpoint up ahead. I just love that they are able to translate the joined affect across all of these different, the background actors are doing just such a great job of inhabiting the Pluribus mindset and tonality and language. Obviously, the script, but the fact that all of these different people from all over the world can inhabit this mindset is so brilliant. I love it. So, quick note on the car. That is a MG is the manufacturer, and that particular model, we see the name of it is a midget. And the midget is to the MG as the 914 was to Porsche. It is the low budget, lightweight entry for a performance sports car. They're beloved and fun to drive, and they actually burned a real car in that final scene. So, and that goes into this. There is so much digital process. The way that they composited the coastal scenes, the way that they composite, the grenade, the fireworks later, they do this really innovative thing where certain parts are practical effects, the fuses of the fireworks were real, but they used LED lights to simulate part of the explosion. They used, some CGI stuff for the car driving on I believe that's what they did on the thing. So, but in this case, they actually burned the car. It was like an old junker car or something. And they were like, nope, we can burn it. So very cool. But that interesting, back to Manusos and his psychological framework that we're looking at him is, this is a beloved car. El Fritz, this car, he has named it. It is meaningful to him. And he's like, F you. You're not taking, I will burn this car before I allow you to.
You can't have it. Yeah.
Whoa. That was intense.
He's intense.
That was super intense.
I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with him. I got really nervous. One more thing on the montage, we see him walking. We see the plurbs in action. And this was really the first time, besides the hospital, that we see them working together just to do their choring.
Just do stuff. Mm-hmm.
Just to do their stuff. So, where are they going? What are they doing? It's weirdly quiet. It's just really interesting. I want to see more of, forever want to see more of the plurbs. Where are they sleeping?
It was interesting when he was driving up that little street, they were all walking the other direction in one of the scenes. There's a laundry scene, but then there's the scene where he's driving through the little town. And they're all carrying baskets of stuff. And I was like, where are they going? What are they doing? What
are they doing?
And if you think about 8 billion people around the world, from little villages in many different places all around, I caught myself in an internal bias because I was going to say far-flung places. But it's far-flung from me. It's for them, it's where they are. What do you mean far-flung? I am where I am.
We're all
this is my place.
The main characters
100%.
And narrators of our own story, and we're unreliable narrators at best.
100%. But if we think about just the global reach of where human beings reside, and all of them connected from the biggest cities to the smallest villages. It's just, it really, in that moment, I was like, oh, seeing these people doing their laundry in this little Pueblo village, I was like, oh.
It makes me, I need to learn more about solipsism in philosophy. Ooh. And it's the idea that we're all these individuals that have backstory, have nuance, are all main characters of our own story, but there's so many of us. So if anyone out there in our listenership, maybe that's not a word, if anyone out there listening is maybe we have some philosophers, folks with PhDs in philosophy or just experienced in that field can leave us voicemails about solipsism.
I like it.
I'd love to learn more about that.
Epistemology.
I'm very into it. So we're learning more about Manusos here and spending time with him through this drawn out montage.
So for me, there were people, they were like, what, the show, it's like boring me. But when the payoff comes, it's paid off, right? We learn about he's fastidious about his hygiene. He's methodical in his planning. He's catching rainwater in these cans. He's, leaving the money, all of this stuff. So we really get this beautifully set montage to learn about him. And I think then when we get that first rock stumble, which is that payoff, and he'd been hacking at vines, right? So they set that up as well. And then when that rock stumble comes, we are so primed for it. We are so set up for that scene to happen. And Chekhov's gun, like it's not at first, I mean, it all happens in the same act, but it's perfectly primed for us. And that he has the psychological control to be able to lift himself off of the plant.
Oh my gosh.
And then it carry on at all. I'm sorry, I'd be done.
I'd be done after the first run with a sprained ankle. I'd be like, thanks, I'm ready for my ride. Thanks. I wouldn't have entered it. No.
Yeah.
I would have been not even, and that's giving myself a lot of credit. Like the reality is he lost me at the dog food. Like that would have been like way back. There's no way. There's no way. I'd be like, get me air conditioning, give me the French toast. Like it's fine. I like.
Were they licking his food though? Like, yeah, we don't know if he's immune or not. We don't know.
We don't know.
He's drinking rainwater. He's collecting food.
Maybe that's what happens. He gets around them in the hospital and he catches it.
They do say he is immune though. So
okay, well,
yeah.
Okay.
But I think the other thing that was important is that he doesn't know that stem cell research is possible, and he hasn't declined. He hasn't given his consent.
Well, we don't know that he doesn't know that. We're assuming that he doesn't know that.
Right. We're assuming a lot about him.
Because he's keeping his cards pretty close. I think he knows more than we think. The fact that he knows that they're aliens, from my perspective, was more. That's pretty telling.
Or something different about them, alien about them. Yeah.
Right. You don't belong here.
The black palm, let's talk about that really quick. The chunga plant. I would love to see the Google statistics, the internet search statistics for chunga plant. Like every chunga plant website encyclopedia page got slammed.
It's like, this is our moment. The big chunga is pumped right now.
It is the Astrocarium stanleyanum. Sure. Come for me if you got the correct pronunciation.
Or Latin scholars. Tell us.
Exactly. It is a palm tree that exists in Central and South America. It can grow up to about 66 feet tall. That's 20 meters. Mm-hmm. And the spikes are up to 8 inches long, 20 centimeters. If you go on the official pod, you can hear the actor who plays Manusos talk about it. And I did a very, very quick search today. I didn't have deep time to research it. But this plant is known as a provider plant. It is a cornerstone for the communities that live in that area. They make these baskets that apparently are watertight.
Oh.
You make it from the leaves, and the way you process the leaves and you weave them into baskets, it can actually hold water.
That's convenient.
The fruit is edible. And they can use it for construction, all kinds of things. So the idea that this, for us, as we talked before about this is the monster in the jungle versus for the people who know it and respect it and understand it. And I think that understanding is key, right? They have a context for it. They have lived with it and experienced it and passed down through culture the how to benefit from this plant, which is merely surviving. Hey, man, I got these ugly spikes because I don't want to be eaten by other people, and so so unlike the polar bear liver, it is a beneficial plant.
We shouldn't demonize the plant.
No, we should not. And it is a very real thing. And you just go give those chunga website some love and go give a quick read.
They're scary, though.
They look scary.
They look scary AF.
Yes.
And that's the point, right?
And that moment when he reaches for the vine and you just, you know exactly what's going to happen.
Gosh.
It's very Hitchcockian in a way.
I was like, my heart was pounding. I was like, I can't handle this. It's like, you know what's going to happen. You're just waiting for it. Like, obviously that was going to happen. Like, they foreshadowed it so much, like, obviously. Yeah. And when it did, I like was on the edge of my seat and like hiding. My buddy Rocky has similar comments. We have a voicemail from Rocky Zim.
Hi, everyone. It's Dave, a.k.a. Rocky Zim here. Just wanted to chime in for the latest episode, The Gap, and I really enjoyed it. I know it was a bit slower, but still, I liked how they were showing Manusos going through the gap, and then his interactions with the Joined. He seemed pretty angry with the Joined, really wanting to, make them feel bad any way he could about the things he said and how he's just blatantly ignoring them. I liked when he had a little mic drop moment, but talking about how you stole this planet, like it's not yours, you don't belong here. It was interesting how intense he was when he said that. He's very, just very dead set against them. It seems like he and Carol will get along, even though Carol seems to be taking the Diabate approach now by golfing and breaking windows and driving her Rolls Royce. Again, back to Manusos, just showing him going through the gap, and the one time that got me, I guess you could say triggered, but just on edge was when he was like slipping and ready to hit the nails on the tree. I was like, no, don't slip. And I was like, please just hold on to that branch or whatever. But when he fell, I'm like, I almost could feel it too. But that was intense. I wasn't sure if maybe they were poisoned, but either way, he wasn't in good shape and had to accept help. So I liked how they were showing his story and how he's getting to Carol. And now he finally, I didn't really have a choice, I guess, but I'm assuming he got airlifted out. And then it skipped forward, which was interesting, to Carol golfing and breaking a bunch of windows. And it seems like she's, kind of giving into the situation, just accepting it. And it was interesting when she was doing, the fireworks, and she was willing to let that firework hit her, almost like she was giving up. And then she, wanted the Join to come back, and so Shosha came back. And it was an interesting episode. I definitely liked the Manusos part of the story. And I'm interested to see what happens next. Yeah, I'll keep this one shorter. I'm looking forward to the last two episodes, and we'll hope everyone has a good holiday and stay safe.
Oh, that's nice, Rocky. Great commentary. Offering some spoilers for our next scene, but we have more feedback to get through before we move on. Some stuff from the Discord that really fortifies my opinion that Manusos is having a, can I say come to Jesus moment? That seems not appropriate, but I'm saying it.
As a shorthand speak for like a psychological realization.
Yes, a self-actualization, or a religious realization even as well. So, Wandering Not Lost says via Discord. But
that's a great that Wandering Not Lost's Discord handle is a perfect title for their commentary about Manusos in the jungle.
Well, I think it's really on brand for them.
Yes, exactly.
They say that was a great episode. Lots of Christ imagery with Manusos in his 40 days. Or maybe the Christ imagery is Carol being very alone for 40 days and nights before breaking down. That's good interesting insights. Too. I'm not sure how long I could have lasted with no human contact either. 1 or 2 weeks would be fabulous. Agreed. A month, that would be rough. I also think I get why she just leaves the long voicemail, what the F else are you going to do? What's the rush? And we heard some other comments before about the same thing, just do something else. So I agree that there's a lot of religious tone here in this Manusos arc, and I don't think it's just cultural. I think that there's something in the narrative and the outcomes and the payoff of it. I think that's going to happen. We get 2 episodes left. We'll see.
And we have at least a second season because they greenlit 2 out to go. So I'm hoping that they filmed already a bunch of stuff. I really hope we don't have to wait a couple of years for this.
I bet that they filmed it all because they knew going in that they'd have 2 seasons. That was the contract.
Fingers crossed.
Right. Cincinnati Joe on Discord. It's interesting that by leaving money, Manusos seems to act like the world is still normal, but then he calls the joined invaders. What's the point of leaving money since it has no meaning anymore? Now he knows there's only a dozen people like him in the entire world, so it's not like he can assume everyone but the hive is going to get the money. Yeah, it's interesting that he's leaving money. I think it's guided by a strong moral compass rooted in religion. Thou shalt not steal.
I add a layer on top of that. This is my decoding, which is that's his, and I said this before, he's not accepting the situation, right? He may understand the situation, but I refuse to participate in this. I'm remaining apart. And to the extent that I'm even leaving money, right? It's just part of his.
Like a denial.
Exactly. Yeah.
Phenomena comments on Discord. I think Manusos operates on the hope that he will get it all fixed. He'll save the world. And when it goes back to normal, he would have maintained his morality. He paid for his way. He did not lie, cheat, or steal.
Okay. So that spins it even better, I think, in a way.
Yeah. I think it is just like a karma thing. Pause in 20 adds Carol embrace of Zosha at the end of the next scene suggests that maybe she's ready to give up or give in, right? So we'll get to that in a minute. Cincinnati Joe writes an email.
Cincinnati Joe's been he's
really
into the show, full in.
Awesome. We love your feedback. After the time jump in this episode, what is the state of the other unjoined folks? So we jumped forward in time quite a bit towards the end. Has anyone willingly joined the hive? Has Diabati got tired of living his fantasies yet? I wonder if any of them have been forced to confront that their loved ones who they see every day are not really themselves anymore. Has Lakshmi realized the body of her son isn't actually him anymore? As Carol earlier tried to force Lakshmi to see. He doesn't play, hang out with friends, or change anyway mentally or emotionally. Yeah, it's interesting with the kids, right? They may make her or others choose to become joined if when there's a quote cure, or it could cause some of them to despair, possibly even wishing there was a way to reverse this to get their loved one back. So maybe in this 40-day time jump that we're seeing as we enter season 4.
Season 4,
season 4, imagine.
Well, hey,
we're just doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
We're seeing that maybe some hearts and minds have changed, just as Carol's changing. Maybe others have changed too. So entering scene 4, it's 40 days later. Carol is no longer happy with her solitary life, right? We're seeing a dramatic mood shift, right? If you think about how every human has poles and a polarity to them. Earlier in this episode, Carol was a higher affect, maybe a little even, I'm not going to say manic, but like active, looking for arousal. And now we're seeing her rather despondent, pretty low. The pendulum has swung, right? She plays chicken with the fireworks aimed at her head. She seems pretty checked out. Also seems like she's drinking quite a bit. The fireworks aimed at her head, it misses her, like just misses her and lights a house on fire. Is it her house or is it a neighbor's house?
I was not sure about that. And in my second watch, I didn't notice if it was hers or it might have been a neighbor house. I'm sure glad that they built a cul-de-sac though for this filming because they really needed to do a lot.
And then she tries to put the fire out with a garden hose.
Yeah,
there's no way. It's impossible. So I think it speaks to her mental state of just being despondent. She goes to a home improvement store. I really assumed she was getting stuff to fix the fire damage.
Mm-hmm.
But she comes back with paint. She paints something on the ground that we don't see right away. She goes back and stares at the Georgia O'Keeffe painting. And in this scene, we see a side of Carol that's very, very vulnerable. All the masking that we've seen through up until this point of the series is kind of gone, and we just see her as like a true individual that isn't pretending anymore. And she softens quite a bit in this scene.
Was she sitting on the couch looking at the
yeah,
O'Keefe? Yeah,
it's just something about her face. It was really vulnerable and really raw in a way that like her guard's really down, and it was just it felt so genuine. The acting was so strong. She hears a car pull up. It's Zosha. She arrives and Carol embraces her in a desperate hug, like falls into her while crying. And we learn that Carol painted "Come Back" on the driveway. And I'm thinking, why didn't she just call them? Like, she went to the store to get paint, to like paint it. Like, why not?
That's a good point.
Them?
That's a good point. Yeah. Why? It certainly is an act of penance in a way. It's not just a phone call. It is like a demonstrative act.
Like a grand gesture.
Exactly.
It was interesting. It bothered me.
Okay.
I was like, just call. Like,
right.
Maybe that doesn't exist anymore 40 days later. Maybe something happened that like they took her privileges away when she got sassy about the Gatorade.
But it certainly signals to us the significance of her intent and her meaning, and that this isn't just a surface like, oh, no, I'm fine. Really, I'm okay. And it's really, no, I went to a lot of trouble and effort to demonstrate that I'm at a point where I need you. I need people.
Yeah.
I can't be alone anymore.
I think for a character like Carol, saying you're sorry out loud is a lot harder than writing you're sorry. And she didn't even write she's sorry, but she just did something to show it. And it's hard to, maybe too vulnerable to say it out loud.
I like that.
Right.
That's good.
That's how I'm gonna justify it, so I can sleep at night. What are those are all the comments I have. I think I knocked off every note I had on this episode.
Good job.
Yeah. What else do you have to share, David?
I have to laugh at the firework hitting the roof because it made me think of the pizza on Walter White's house. And they're just doing stuff to roofs of things in this show, whether intentionally or unintentionally. I loved the idea that the roof was on fire, about where the pizza would have been thrown if somebody had thrown a pizza up on there. I also love the fact that the trash drone is still hanging from the light post. You can see it in one of the scenes. The question of the firework, I was interested because it like fell over, and I didn't see on my first watch, I didn't notice that it had fallen over. On my second watch, I caught that. And so this question of what was the setup for that? Was she just out getting her kicks with the fireworks and then that fell over? And then she was like, what would that feel like? Like she's the way that I was decoding was that she's numb and that she's needing to feel something and that she's pushing this borderline suicide question. And when it goes by her, she has that like, okay, this is not good. This self-reflection, like we've seen her be self-reflective in the past and make different decisions for herself. And obviously this is one that has more impact. So it was like, was that just an accident that firework fell over, or did she intentionally set it up? And I don't think she set it up because it falls over.
So my read of that was that she didn't set it up that way. It fell over and she realized she was in the line of sight for it.
Yeah.
And then she had the thought, unplanned, unprovoked, if I did nothing right now, this would all be over. And it wouldn't be suicide because it would just be an accident. Like if I just did nothing, maybe I fell asleep. Like, right. It's sad. It's really, really sad and can be really kind of triggering to folks that have any sort of suicidal ideation or intrusive thoughts towards that. Right. I don't think it was wanting to feel something. I think it was a moment of surrender. Like if I just did nothing and I'm quite numb, and if I just sat here, no one would.
It wasn't intentionally thrill-seeking behavior. The thrill-seeking was sitting in the middle of all of these fireworks shooting off, right?
And I even think that the thrill-seeking behavior was how the fireworks thing started initially. And now it's like, it's like an addict. You have a little bit at first, and now she's got all these fireworks, and she's still not she needs more to feel that, and she still isn't feeling it.
Which we start with that one little sparkler.
And that really did it for her. Yeah. Now she's just like numb to it all. And maybe she's realizing that why carry on like this, and who would fault me if I just sat here? Not that
who would
she's
miss me.
Yeah, well, no, she's not accountable to anybody, and she hasn't been for quite some time. And I think that can take a toll, right? And that did push her to make a change, and was a rock bottom moment for her,
right?
For sure,
right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then we have to talk about the just married of it all. There is very little that is left to chance in this show. So the fact that the Rolls Royce is parked in the driveway and we can see the words "just married" as Carol comes out into the driveway and faces Zosha before they embrace. So I'm just flagging it. I'm not saying what it means. I just noticed it as a cinema, filmmaking kind of thing. But that embrace, it was very affecting to me.
Yeah, same.
And there was a moment where Carol takes this breath, right? It's like she's been suffocated. She's drowning. And when the physical contact has her physiologically respond in that gasping breath way of, oh my God, I didn't know that this, I forgot what it was to be with people, and it's so, I was suffocating, I was drowning, and your touch is air to me. Right. I can breathe again.
Even like physical touch after being deprived of that for so long. I remember during COVID, me and my friends were, I'm such a hugger. I'm just a hugger as a person.
Right.
And missing that.
I can attest to this.
I'm going to hug you.
Right.
And I think it's really powerful and a really awesome way to connect with other humans and feel like you're part of a culture and society. I just whatever. So it's humanizing. So during COVID, what we used to do is we do burrito hugs. But I'd take my girlfriends and wrap them in blankets. And I'd wrap myself up in a blanket so we'd be cocooned except for our arms. And we'd hug each other. And it was so powerful. We'd be in tears, just hugging. It was bizarre,
right?
By a fire in someone's driveway outside, 2-degree temperatures, just hugging each other wrapped in blankets. But I still feel that. And it is just really profound and powerful, this physical touch after being deprived from it for so long. So that's what I was thinking about in the scene, is this emotionality of just embracing other people when you've been starved for so long, and that skin to skin contact and the oxytocin that's expressed in those moments, how that can literally zap you out of a low serotonin, low oxytocin depression place. That's what it's for. Right. So without that input in our neurobiology, neurochemistry, excuse me. Sorry to misspeak.
Mark is going to send a very aggressive
he's going to explain
email.
it to me. It's so cute when he does that, right? So cute. I love him so much. I love him so much. We need that for survival. And I think that just as we need water and food and shelter, we need other humans, not just as a sociological component, but also literally a physiological and chemical component. So,
and then we talk about the gap, and then we have a closing of the gap here with Carol, and she moves across that gap, which takes a lot of courage.
It does.
You can't dismiss the fact that and for both Manusos and Diabate to some degree, because we haven't seen a journey for him yet. But then Carol is the first of our characters to really cross this threshold where 7 episodes they've been setting up who she is. Yeah. And then when that moment comes, when that hug comes, as a piece of television, as a piece of dramatic representation on screen, it's powerful and effective. And I think it really pays off. And I can't imagine what 8 and 9 are going to be like. That's going to be crazy. I wanted to share a very, very, very brief story about gapping, this gap thing, and what you were saying that when you're talking about the burrito hug made me think of something. I was traveling once a number of years ago, and I was in the, I can't remember where I was, Eastern Europe, north of Greece. I think it was Macedonia. I think it must have been Skopje or something. I was at a train station. I was looking for the left luggage thing because I had a whole day before my next train. Found the guy, older gentleman, and we didn't speak each other's languages. We figured out what we needed. Then we shared a cigarette, speaking of cigarettes. And I had this very human moment of, here's this older gentleman. He was probably in his late 50s. Here I am in my, mid 40s or whatever. Two different worlds, but we could share this common moment. We closed the gap.
That's beautiful.
Of that psychological difference, of like being alone in our heads.
Yeah.
So, and it just makes me think of your burrito hug, like, all the way to the physical aspect of it, right? Of like trying to close the gap between us so that we don't feel so freaking alone.
Right.
Because we're just bing bonging around in our skulls.
We're all so much more alike than we are different. And when we talk about, going way back to the start of this episode, when we talk about biases and how we interpret other people and how we are all three-dimensional people, knowing that gives us such great empathy to know that we all have backstory, we all have nuance, we all have challenges and internal monologues, and most of us. And I think that that's really connecting and powerful. We are often in this society pitted against each other, but we have a lot more in common, even despite any cultural relativism and any biases that come up. And we're all open to change and open to grow.
Right.
And we're seeing a lot of change and growth in these characters. And I can't wait to connect with the others after this 40-day gap, because we saw such tremendous growth in Carol. And I wonder what everyone else has been up to. So I can't wait for the next episode. It is called Charm Offensive.
Right. That's going to be interesting.
No clue what that means.
No clue. Makes me think of that old phrase, imagine people complexly, as a little mantra for yourself. Just remember that they're going through as much as you're going through in this moment.
And to offer them the most generous explanation for their behavior. And I think going back to my colleague, my friend Mark's comment about the other unjoined not having empathy and understanding for Carol, when it makes sense that she would feel that way. They're not offering her the most generous explanation. And that seems so short-sighted to me, that I agree with Mark that I'm eager to see if they've come around, because it seems so wild that they'd be like, get out of here, Carol. You're crazy. Her reaction makes sense.
Right.
So final thoughts.
Take a quick break. We have 3 big emails that are standalone pieces that we want to get to before we wrap it up. So we will be right back. And we're back, and we've got some final wrap-up email that we want to get to. Marker, I have to stand up for a second. I got to let the cat out. Hold on.
So our first email, again, from Cincinnati Joe's, really dialed in this week, crushing it in content. We're so happy for it. They write, some people are hard on Carol because they find her rude, a downer, or just unlikable. But even setting aside the fact that this collective killed the only person she loved, in addition to the world being decimated by an alien virus, she is facing loss of independent thinking along with the rest of the human race. Yes. He goes on. Picture her as Captain Picard with... Can I do it?
Yes,
Picture
you can do
her
it. I believe in you.
Picture her as Captain Picard with the Borg. Or better yet, as Kirk being trapped in a world where an alien virus has converted everyone into the milk toast hive mind. Do you think that he'd, quote, get along, unquote, and play nice? No. He'd be telling the joint how stupid their society is, and he'd be doing everything in his power to change things, and he wouldn't be nice about it. Picard probably would be nice about it. I can't speak to Captain Kirk. I'm not a fan. Hot take. True hot take. There There's also Neo in The Matrix giving Agent Smith the finger. There are many examples of people, quote, men, or parentheses, men, in sci-fi railing against conformist societies. Carol continues that tradition with the added fire of her grief. Again, very on point. I agree with you, Cincinnati Joe.
There are so many examples of, especially in in the original series of Star Trek, where there's these seeming utopias or monoculture societies where it's like, wait a minute, but then that's a cultural value, isn't it? That individualism versus a more collective culture, mindset, saying we're individuals but we live within a larger state or society, and that is more important. We have agreed, or we've whatever decision making process have decided that that's the case,
right? Like the individualist versus collectivist culture is a huge area of cultural relativism. I think one of the most relatable and understanding ones is that, in America, we live in an individualist culture. And that's why, like, maybe during COVID, some people had a hard time with masking or kind of conforming, because our culture doesn't support that viewpoint. It's not right or wrong. It's just how we are.
Right.
And Picard would be following the Prime Directive and not trying to assimilate other cultures into his belief. And I don't know if Captain Kirk was working under the Prime Directive. So...
Well, as long as they didn't steal his science officer's brain, I think maybe he'd be a little bit chill. It's usually there's usually some instigation. By the way, quick sideways shout out to our friends over at the Captain's Pod. Go check them out if you want Star Trek coverage. Yes, you can.
Can I? Poor Mark. He's like trying to book Never Mind the Music recordings with me. I'm like, I am busy.
I've got other podcasts.
Other stuff like. Thanks for your comments, Cincinnati Joe. Keep them coming. We have another email from Jordan M. Do you want to read it?
Sure. Our dear friend Jordan. And thanks again, Jordan, when we were going up to visit Montreal a month or two back, Jordan helped dial us in to a couple places. So true friend of the pod.
Awesome.
Salut, Laura. And of course, the antagonistic relationship between Jordan and John is great because of the French pronunciation things. And so I'm just going to do a meaningly passable version of French accents. Salut, Lorehounds and Lorehounds adjacent, killing it, Nichole. Okay, David, you snagged me in for a comment with your very good introduction en français. Bravo, mon cher. I tried. I practiced that very hard. Loving this show and how much I mostly love, Carol. It's funny because I hated the pacing of Breaking Bad, but I find the tone and pacing of this show to be perfect. It's rare these days to have a character like Carol who invokes such a range of human emotions from the audience. I want to interject something here really quick too, and this goes back into something that Cincinnati Joe had said, and then something that I heard on the Fresh Air interview with Ray Seahorn today, where she's talking about, as a woman, being told that she has to moderate or mitigate or manage her anger responses to things. Right. And I think that's really interesting. And I think a theme of this whole podcast episode today has been about Carol as a complex person. And so many of our television shows, we have heroes and villains and everything sort of in between, but everybody's sort of two-dimensional cutouts.
Right.
And as Lestu said earlier, that Carol is three-dimensional. They are giving us three-dimensionality to these characters is, I think, really interesting and unique for a television show. Carrying on, I don't have much more to comment on because you two are incroyable in your coverage. Only to say that, David, you're as thought-provoking as depth. Gosh, I'm like blushing reading this. So thought-provoking and in-depth as ever. Nichole's humor combined with the psychological expertise is equally thought-provoking. Thank you for the very kind words.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Being a white privileged male, I hadn't given the thought as to whether or not losing art or my individuality would be better than a race of equals that, to our knowledge, know no suffering. The socialist in me slapped me hard when you forced that thought. One overall impression I do have is that with the offbeat and at times awkward tone of the show, I feel we are being led to a very dark reveal at the end. Bum, bum, bum. My own wacky theories lean towards the aliens who broadcasted the hive brew recipe being not so well meaningful after all. Perhaps they are farming out humanity or paving the way for intergalactic highway. Side note, interesting, there's a lot of response because our sci-fi diet is so coded for us to think of aliens as perfidious, as like they are going to come for us and use us. It's interesting. That's a default response. We don't know what these quote unquote aliens are up to. We've only seen a space signal, so everything else is a Rorschach test. Episode 3.
Here we are.
Nard. Carrying on with Jordan's email, they may even have a Thanos-type goal of cleansing the universe. And while I don't think we will see them, maybe we will learn more about them via Manusos, who may possibly discover another signal. And that together with Carol, they learn something sinister. The joined are now basically more knowledgeable than the internet itself. What with having the collective thoughts and memories of everyone. I would use Zosha as my own personal wiki. Was there actually an Illuminati? What was their goal? Do we really know who killed Kennedy? Has America Idol ever been rigged? The important things.
All yes.
I would eventually get around to the end game question. Well, that's it. That's about it. Only I must add that the drone and garbage scene was instantly iconic. Oh, and as for the stem cells, more likely they would do a bone marrow biopsy in the femur, which hurts like hell. Lumbar punctures are usually pretty straightforward and result mostly in just a headache. Sorry, I spend my days often assisting with them and wouldn't yield to this type of stem cells they are looking for. I believe Jordan is in the medical profession, professional.
I would hope he's in the medical profession if he's assisting with lumbar punctures.
Yes. Yeah. No, just, at the coffee shop. I'll take a double espresso and a lumbar puncture.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I didn't know. So thanks for
But yes, I believe Jordan is a medical professional.
Yes,
he and his husband are in the Canadian area.
The Canadian healthcare system. Can we have that?
Thank you both for an amazing coverage and happy holidays. Joyeux fête to all the Lorehounds, family, and community. Thank you, Jordan. Always a pleasure to hear from you. I am glad that you are enjoying this show so much, and it is good to hear from you.
Thanks, Jordan. We have another email from Chris H. This is a doozy. I'm going to do my best.
Okay.
I have a pet theory about this show, Chris writes. Aliens didn't send the RNA virus signal as the astronomers suspected. It originated on Earth and was created by AI. As someone who has both professionally and personally spent way too much time with AI and the leading edge large language models, LLMs, the similarities are striking and effectively dramatized for compelling television. Like LLMs, the Pluribus contain such a complete sum of human knowledge. They know how to perform any rote task, especially recipes, but literally nothing beyond that. For example, apparently they don't understand how the virus actually works and expect to take months to figure it out. Like LLMs, they can accomplish some real neat tricks, but fail at long-term planning and strategy. They have well-defined guardrails, which is also commonplace for LLMs. Their specific guardrails seem heavily inspired by Asimov's 3 laws of robotics, to paraphrase, do no harm, obey humans, protect itself. Revisiting the atom bomb conversation at the hospital really drove this home for me. The Pluribus are also comically obsequious. I don't know how to say that. Obsequious. I'm not I just pretend to be smart. A reputation shared with many current LLMs. Finally, the Pluribus are blissfully unaware of their own purpose. They spread due to a biological imperative, but don't engage in why. Like actual LLMs, there is actually no initiative. They just follow their guardrails and do as commanded. So what are they actually accomplishing? What change is being effected? Peace on earth, the end of violence, the end of racism, hunger, war, strife by literally any means necessary. The way this is playing out is eerily reminiscent of the, quote, paperclip maximizer, unquote, thought experiment, in which AI accidentally turns every single atom in the universe into paperclips.
Oh, I've not heard of this. This is super interesting.
No, it was first published by one of the most prevalent early AI researchers in 2003. Who was the man behind the curtain? Who actually set up all this into motion. Who is attempting to save humanity from itself? Mr. Kumba Dibiati. Now, I'm not sure if this show is the kind of show that's going to delve into the minutiae of LLMs and AI. I think it's more meant as a character study than a world-building mystery box show. But these concepts seem incredibly relevant in this show at this time on this specific streaming network. Thanks, longtime fan of everything Lorehounds and loving your coverage of this show. Lots to unpack there.
Yes. I would be interested to hear from Mr. Gilligan as to the influence of AI, LLM stuff, because what little that he has said about the production of this, the origins of this show, and he has not said that much. There was just a bunch of early season stuff where he was making rounds of interviews and talked about sort of how the original idea came to him. And how long ago, and were LLMs present in a daily conversational way as they are today and now? And I think of another show that is sort of making some waves, which is the new Ken Burns documentary, which aired on PBS and about the American Revolution, that they started that project over 10 years ago.
Wow.
And it's airing now. They didn't mean for it to be 1 year ahead of the American, the anniversary, the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution, nor to say anything about our current political landscape in this country. They did not intend that. And yet, here it is. So did Vince Gilligan understand and have a view to understanding what LLMs were going to do to shape our daily lives? And it is everywhere. In my day job industry, people are using it all over the place.
I mean,
for
in
daily tasks to big stuff. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, at college, it's a problem.
It's literally reshaping the way that are living the way our work lives are happening.
And like people are freaking out, like either you're in two camps in higher ed, either you embrace AI and work with it or you buck against it. There's not a lot of people in the middle of the road that I've encountered. And maybe I have a small sample, but that's my opinion on it. Either you're in or you're out.
Right. And it's I've heard that. And as somebody who's using it a lot, and who has struggled with productivity, with writing specifically in a lot of ways. I can think thoughts, I can speak thoughts, but getting them on paper has been so hard. I now have a writing partner where I'm taking my ideas and my nuances and connections and interpretations and perspectives on things. And then I can have those pulled together for me. And I do very close edits. I go through 20 rounds on a draft, sometimes on a blog post or something. But it is a mobility. I hate to be ableist. I'm not trying to be ableist here, but I'm trying to find an analogy where I couldn't do something, and now through a piece of technology, I can.
It jumpstarts your ideas in a way that gets over that the hindrance of getting started on something
and following through. I'm terrible with writing, and this really completely. It's incredible.
It can help.
But I'm not just hitting a button saying, make me a blog post about this.
No.
I'm shaping very deeply.
And it's helping you build momentum towards a project. And I think that's what a lot of folks need to get started.
Yes.
And using AI as a starting point, I think, is very valid. And to me, I don't see a huge difference beyond the environmental impacts, which we're not even discussing here.
Yeah, right. That's a whole other thing.
How is that different from using a Google search? It's just a more conversational search model.
How much did internet searching affect higher education when that was and Wikipedia, right? I remember the Wikipedia. Oh my God, they can just go get Wikipedia and they just copy things out whole paragraphs at a time.
The trick of teaching is now to teach to how to incorporate it, how to cite and annotate AI searches in works cited. APA is coming out with guidelines on how to do that. We need to catch up. And I think in higher ed, the tricky thing is that the students know more than the teachers. And where they're laughing at us and we're like, now if you use ChatGPT, and they're like, we're like so past ChatGPT
Right,
as
exactly.
a thing. So there's a lot of catching up that has to happen, and not a lot of people have the appetite towards that. But in terms of this as an overarching metaphor, I think that there are definitely correlations between
100%.
Chris H's theory.
Yeah.
And maybe it was accidental or maybe not. We're going to have to wait and see, but it seems like so on the nose. And I don't think they've ever addressed that in the pod.
No, I haven't heard anything, but I haven't listened to everything, but I've only heard Vince Gilligan talk about his initial ideas for the germination of the show, never the wider context of this.
And I feel like if it wasn't about AI, they would say it's not about AI. They would like say it. So I don't know. I'm eager to see what happens next, but it's not wild. Like this theory isn't a tinfoil theory. It makes a lot of sense.
Right. I think the tinfoil part is where did the signal come from? But in terms of the comparisons to LLMs and whatnot, for sure. Let's end on a little fun note.
Okay.
Sub-Zero, lore master, dear friend of the pod, keeper of the a wrangler of the cats of the show tracker. We have a show tracker resource thing, and Sub-Zero is really our primary person who helps us with that. So thank you, Sub-Zero, for all that you do for the community. Hey, Lorehounds, there are some examples I want to try as an unjoined. Unlike Diabate, I don't want to stage anything where I'm rigged to be the winner. Where's the fun in that? I just want the experience. Number one, and he lists out 6 things. Number one, drive an F1 car around Monaco. I'm going to, just to keep this short, I'm just going to list off his things.
Awesome.
Number 2, cook dinner with a Michelin star chef. I don't know. It could be a 6-year-old.
Right. It could be anybody.
Anybody. Play a baseball game at Wrigley Field. Take a ride on a B-2 bomber.
Oh gosh.
Apparently, Sub-Zero has been fascinated with that piece of technology for a long time. Number 5, go up to the space station. Go through some NASA training and do up there and do like a simple experiment or 2. And then lastly, take all access guided tours to the restricted places such as Area 51, CERN, Fort Knox, the Global Seed Vault, and the Vatican Archives. I want all the secrets. He's such a Lorehound.
I agree with that. I want all the secrets. I'm telling you, even in this plurb-infested world, there's no universe that exists that like I don't want to go up to the space station. You had made a comment of going in like an underground, like a immersive like scuba situation.
Submersible.
There's no way. There's no way I would, even in like with all these guardrails in place, I'm not going to space, dude. Like I'm not going in this underwater pod. It's fine. I can't even deal with like an IMAX movie theater. It's too much for me. Like I can't do it. So I don't know.
What would drive your? So you've declined to join the joined.
Yeah.
How would you live out your days? What are the kinds of things that you would?
Honestly, I would get really into like art making. I think that like I'd want a really awesome art studio with like all the things I would want. I'd come
to your shows.
Right. I mean, you'd have to because I'd force the join. In this world, you're joined.
Okay. All right.
I would want bands to play for me. I'd want like concert experiences.
Would you fill the stadium with the Pluribus?
Yeah,
so
but
that you have the rock concert experience.
Yeah, but I also want like the individuals that used to be my friends to be like near me.
Got it.
And I'd order them to like act like they're not plurbed.
Right.
Plurbed. We're verbing it now.
I love it.
But I think like
plurb works. Like I noticed I was naturally saying it.
Yeah, I'd want like, I don't know. I think I'd want all the secrets. I kind of want my life to be exactly how it is now. Except like everyone does what I tell them to do.
Interesting. All right.
Right? I don't know. I'm not a risk taker. I tried the world. It's not for me.
Right.
I like my house. What do you of this list? What are the things that like seem really intriguing to you?
I don't know that I'd want to drive an F1. The space idea is intriguing. I think for sure I would do a whole lot of traveling. Like I would do maybe some deep sea research. They have these cool submersibles. If you watch Blue Planet, or especially Blue Planet 2, there are these spheres, these like acrylic spheres with little things. They don't go down too deep, but I'd love to have that experience. I don't want to do like, Scott or anybody like that and go trek to the South Pole, but I want to go see some penguin colonies. I'd want to definitely do some, I don't want to do high altitude or extreme adventure, but I would travel a lot. I'd probably do a lot of scuba diving, a lot of hiking and trekking to see some cool places.
Yeah.
I think that's where I would start. Like if my first initial reaction would be to get around to some of those bucket list places that all of the influencer on Instagram have sort of ruined now. I would go do all that kind of traveling.
Yeah, but you're doing it alone.
No, I would need guides and logistics people, and we'd go together. I would hook up with Sylvia Earle and say, okay, let's go study some sharks or whatever. And
that's cool. Yeah,
get the whale research people.
You'd embrace in this world, like the Plurbs haven't disowned you. You don't have the voicemail.
No, I would be totally in. Yeah,
you're like in. Yeah,
I'd be. Yeah,
you're playing along.
Like, hey, let's go do this thing, and we need a team. Let's put our team together. Let's get our equipment. Let's do some expeditioning, and cool. I would go with them. Yeah,
I still think it would be kind of lonely. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to imagine this.
I would lean into Inquisition. I would lean into like discovery, exploration, discovery, and Inquisition. And then, and therein, there are still many things to learn and know. So I guess maybe that would be the source of new knowledge is like, okay, let's go study this thing or research this thing or travel here. Yeah. And what do we know about it? And what do we don't know about it? And like, what science can we do to, collect it? Like I would be citizen science extraordinaire. That's who I'd be.
Oh, that's a great brand. You should trademark that right now. So listeners, let us know, what would you do if you were unplurbed and you had all the resources available to you? Like what would be, I'm seeing how many like different ways I can like conjugate plurb.
Exactly. I love
it. Send us an email or a voicemail, pluribus@thelorehounds.com. Let us know what you thought of this episode 7. Let us know what you would do if you had access to anything. Yeah. What would be your top thing to do? And what would be something you would never want to do? You can also check the show notes for links to everything we talked about today. It's been a great episode. We're enjoying this coverage. Get 2 more to go on this season. I can't wait to see what happens in our next episode. What else is going on the Lorehounds Network?
Lorehounds Network, John and Alicia just put out an episode on the Talamasca. They did a one-shot. They're still covering It, Welcome to Derry. That should be wrapping up soon. We have our big top 10 end-of-year action happening. We've got a community survey out for subscribers. They get to put in their top 10s. We do a data analytics on it, and we display it in some cool, funky graphs. That is typically a show that is on our subscriber-only network, but we make that available to everyone on December 25th. And on December 26th, another public episode will be all of our friends and co-hosts and associated podcasts, where I do top 3s. I just recorded with you and Mark, Nichole, with your top 3s. And so we package all of those together and put that out on Boxing Day. We still have some stuff going on. I'm not sure exactly where everything is going, but some Stranger Things one-shots. Mm-hmm. There's a Wicked for Good somewhere out there in the ether.
We're recording it now. Coverage. We're about halfway through recording Wicked for Good.
You had to break it into 2?
We're talkers, Marilyn and Alicia. So we got to at the 2-hour mark, and we're like, we need more time. We're recording more tomorrow. So it should be up pretty soon.
Very cool. I was just on a episode of Never Mind the Music. I had a lot of fun with that. You can go find that. We talk about the generational music theorem of how music is passed from generation to generation and where it falls down, where it doesn't exactly work. And I actually have a blog post in process that should be out shortly.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're talking about Wonderwall by Oasis and birth order theory.
Cool.
Never Mind the Music. Also, we have a feedback episode, a mailbag episode coming out pretty soon. We just recorded. We had so much great feedback. Again, really impressed by the breadth of knowledge within our community here.
Sweet.
It was awesome to hear from you guys. So please keep the feedback coming.
Otherwise, Radioactive Ramblers I just did my top 3 recording with Richard and Aaron, and they are covering, for sure, confirmed, season 2 of Fallout.
The boys are back. I've been watching Fallout, and then I don't know if I shared it on this podcast.
I think you mentioned, yeah.
And then I was watching it, and then I was still so thirsty for content that I started listening to their coverage of from a long time ago, and they're so funny. I can't wait to hear their thoughts on season 2. We're stoked for it in our house. So
if you go to the show notes, there's a link to our link tree, and that link tree has the links to all of the different affiliate podcasts that we have in our network. So I think we'll keep it short there. That is the most important stuff. We should read out. Are you reading this week's?
You can read it.
Okay. Got it. It is a lot.
You're better. You're just better at it than me.
Well,
it's okay.
It's just practice. The Discord server boosters, these folks donate to the Discord to make our community space more functional. So that's Aaron K, Tiller the Thriller, Aaron K being one of the radioactive hosts, Duve71, Athena Adulea, Lestu, hey, the aforementioned Lestu, Nancy M, hand of the pod, Ghost of Perdition, Radioactive Richard, another, what do they call it? Radioactive Ramblers. My brain is like, I'm switching gears. And Adrian for your help in making community space more functional. To our lore masters, to our top tier subscribers, the people who help keep the lights on and the bits churning out, Samartian, Michael G, Michelle E, SC, Peter OH, Nancy M, Duve71, Brian 8063, Frederick H, Sarah L, Gareth C, Andra B, Kwang Yu, Nathan T, Sub-Zero, Aaron K, Dally B, Mothership 61, Gnarls, Kathy W, Lestu, Jeffrey B, Elisa U, Ben B, Scott F, Stephen N, Julia F, Cully S, Il Mariel, Paul K, Rocky Zim, Jessica A, Red Zippy, the TCS, Dopamini, Catch It, Ellen R, and always last but never least, Adrian. Thank you all so very much for supporting our community and us as podcasters. Nichole, we're coming into the end run here. Last 2 more episodes. And we're going to have to do like a little 2-step for the final episode. But we're working out our plan, so stay tuned. We'll let you guys know in the next episode how we're going to break down episode 9, because it falls right in the holiday zone when I'm going to be traveling. So we will have coverage, and then we'll let you know on episode 8 how we're doing that. But thank you again, Nichole, for this podcast. It has been a delight to cover the show with you.
Yeah, likewise, David. It's always nice to chat, and I can't wait for more. So we'll see you guys next week.
The Lorehounds podcast is produced and published by the Lorehounds. You can send questions and comments to lorehounds@thelorehounds.com. Get ad-free access to all Lorehounds podcasts on Patreon or Supercast, and connect with us on Blue Sky and join us on our Discord server. Links for everything are in the link tree in the show notes of this episode. Any opinions stated are ours personally and do not reflect the opinion of or belong to any employers or other entities. Thanks for listening.